It is. It's podcast day. We're excited. We're digging out there. What have we got? Ooh, yeah.
Dude, it's fucking podcast day.
Takes you back to that time where you remember what you were doing when you first listened to that album, or
What is going on, you champions? That's right. Yes.
What up?
Podcast day. Two dudes talk music. Yes, and stew. I've been stewing on this shit all day.
What is going on?
Yes.
It's that time. It's that time. Podcast time. Yeah, spill the beans, man. Spill the beans. We want it. We want this, the exclusive details.
What is happening, my guy?
Ah, dude.
How you doing?
It's fucking Friday, Junior.
It's Friday, Junior. You know, I'm here with a nice little cranberry and vodka. You know,
I've got myself a little bit of the light blue Coopers.
yeah. I need to get some blue. I need to get some nice blue stuff to mix in with this and make a good bit of a purple drink.
Purple drink is always good. Purple drink is the best.
Yeah.
Everything's
Yeah.
Purple's the best.
How's your week been, dude?
Very good. It's the birther of life's birthday today. My dear mother.
Well,
happy 21st, Mum.
Happy birthday to Mama Beer Buddy.
Yeah. So we went out for dinner and just had a feed. And
Oh, good.
once again, I ate too much food, but I just do that. And now I'm just sitting down, enjoying a couple of beers, and looking really forward to this chat. But before we get into that, how are you?
Mate, I am finally recovered from good things.
Man, that was a top video.
Bro, oh my god! So if you haven't seen it, I got a video up on the channel talking about all the bands I went to see. I had a great time at Good Things in Brisbane on Sunday. The heat was a fucking war crime. Like it was just like I didn't realize, right? I was walking around at one point and I walked across this area where there was a ton of sawdust they'd put down, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe it was a bit muddy and they just kind of put the sawdust down to soak that up and cover that up so that people weren't trouncing through the mud. No, turned out that part of the pavement or asphalt or bitumen or whatever they had down there had been melting from the intensity of the sun on it, and they needed to put that down so that people weren't walking on that, and there's and it wasn't sticking to their shoes and all that shit.
That's a bit too spicy.
Pretty intense.
It's a bit too spicy.
Thankfully managed to avoid sunburn by trying to stay out of direct sun as much as possible and smearing myself in sunscreen. I know I probably looked like a fucking nerd, stood just inside the entrance of the thing, rubbing sunscreen all on my fat arms and shit. I'm like, I could not give a shit. Like, just had to. You got to protect yourself out there, people. You go to a show, like you go to music festivals, gigs, and all that. You wear hearing protection. You're going to be at a music festival in the sun all day. Protect your fucking skin.
I'll tell you a story.
Like, skin cancer rates are already sky high enough in this country. You don't need to make it worse.
Yeah. When I used to have long hair, back when I was a long-haired young fella, I used to love doing my hair in plaits like corn. Yeah. So I went to the festival one day and I had the parts, and I didn't sunscreen the parts, and I got second-degree burns all through the parts of my head. My head blistered. My head blistered, man. That was the worst thing ever.
That's what I was worried about.
Yeah,
I
man.
was trying to protect my noggin. The last thing I wanted was a sunburned scalp.
Got to be careful.
Yeah, but I saw plenty of people. So look, and I will say, I know at this point, I think the count is up to 5 of the people that I was hanging around on the day have come down with something. Some of them have tested positive to COVID. I am fingers crossed so far. I've tested negative, but yeah, look, videos up on the channel about all the bands that I went to see. It was a great day. It was amazing. Fucking wrecked me. I really should have taken the next day off of work, but what can you do? But yeah, man, that's about it. Speaking of good things, though.
Yeah, this is why we're here.
Speaking of good things, our guests tonight won the Good Things band comp to play at Sydney's Good Things on Saturday. We are joined by a band that is doing amazing stuff. It's their return to the podcast. I wasn't here last time that they were here. I was off trancing all over the world, doing my business in America and all that good shit. So this is my first time talking to these guys, but Kyle's second time. Let's welcome back to the podcast the absolutely incredible team from SYNGE.
How you going, lads?
Yay! How you doing,
boys?
fellas?
Great to have you back.
Thanks for having us. It's a pleasure to be.
And lovely to meet all of you. Lovely to meet all of you. Thank you so much for coming back on the podcast here. I hope that my inclusion in things doesn't ruin the experience for you. I know that. Look, I know CJ's an incredible host, and Kyle and CJ make a great team. So we'll try and live up to that. But yes, so you guys had earned the right to play at Good Things through winning the band competition that they were running. First of all, congratulations. Second of all,
Thanks, you.
I want to hear about the day. I want to hear about your day at Good Things and what that experience was like for you, and how you're feeling now that you've had a few days to process it all.
All right, well, I think everyone's going to have something a little different. I'll start and pass it on. I can share the heat sentiment from Brisbane because before we started, my shirt was soaked through. So it's pretty typical for me, though. I just get quite hot setting everything up, but it was pretty warm there. We had no clue what to expect. We rocked up like maybe 3 hours before we would play, collected our credentials and whatnot, and had a nice walk all the way to stage 5, which is great. I think the boys had a bit of trouble pushing our in-ear rack, so one of the techs there had a forklift and brought that over, which was very nice.
Nice.
I've never seen an outdoor festival stage ever, obviously from the crowd, been to Good Things before. So that was kind of trippy to go out and see that. The 2 hours of setup time kind of warmed me up though, because I wasn't as nervous when we started, but nothing could have prepared me for when the track started rolling and people started rocking up. It was a kind of a surreal experience. I don't think I've ever experienced anything like it, and I don't think I've processed it properly at all. It's a bit whack. And then obviously right after we played, we got to spend the rest of the day treating it like a normal festival, except on the back end. So hanging out with all the artists and watching a few of the big boys backstage, which is a very cool experience. But yeah, otherwise I think the set was great. As soon as it started playing and we got into our groove, I think we all had a really fun time. Dan, especially on the stage presence, he jumping around, nearly falls over half the time, but he always sticks the landing, which is good. And yeah, it was super fun. I don't think we're going to be able to top that for a long time.
You guys will keep getting them. You guys will keep getting those mad spots now. Keep killing it like that. We've got spirits in the chat straight away. God, Dan is beautiful. You got fans, Dan. You got fans.
Hello.
Look, he's a bass player named Dan. Of course there's going to be fans, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just how this shit goes.
Oh, well. Y'all got to stick together, don't you?
Yeah.
You also call him metalcore.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
That's all right.
We've been the bassist and getting attention. No.
I feel you. I feel you on that, my man. I feel you. So you guys, once it kind of started, once the track started, was it like over before you kind of realized? Because I know that once you get into it, you can not so much go on autopilot, but it just kind of tends to fly by when you're in the midst of it, and then afterwards when you're on the come down, you kind of like trying to remember what happened because you were just so caught up in the moment that remembering specific things can be a challenge. In the aftermath of it, looking back, like, is there any specific points in the set that you feel were like particular high points that you want to reminisce on?
I mean,
Go on.
No, please.
So, once we were up there and playing that entire set, by the time we were halfway across playing that entire set, I think it went on for about 25 minutes. It was a 25-minute set we played. We're up there in that moment. It's like, as soon as you start seeing those people walking up and we're going through that introduction in the backing track, introducing our set and getting through, starts piling up a new nose build. But in the end, by the time we got halfway through this set, we were just so vibing the entire experience. It was, at that point, we finished the set so quickly, it flashed like in a moment past us. And it's like, we enjoyed it so much. Everything had slowed down like whilst we were playing that set, but it's like, it was such an experience that left us in awe. But this urge to just want to play it again. Just go back 25 minutes and just play it again. And it's just like, I think now we're in this sort of state where we're just longing to be on that stage again and getting to play a show like that again, because it just went too quickly. That's the problem.
Was there a point that you sort of all got to? Did any of you actively try and take the time to stop and just take a breath and absorb what was going on? Like, just was there like that one point where it sort of all just hit you, and you just sort of glazed over, and you were just like, "Holy shit! Like, this ain't just a normal fucking show."
Yeah, I think for me at least, I definitely had like a lot of moments where I was like looking out at the crowd, and like we've got cameras set up. Especially for this show, we had cameras set up all over the place.
Good.
So like, we've sat back and reviewed the footage and just gone like, oh yeah, look at us just like admiring the scenery and the situation that we were in. So like whilst it was such a fleeting 25 minutes, like short 25 minutes, we felt like we can go back and like it allows us that ability to like reattach to the moment. So it's like it's amazing to know that that's what we've experienced, and it's just
and accomplished.
Yeah, and I usually don't get a specific point in the set to like where I breathe it in until close to the end. Like I'll play. The set was like 6 songs long, so 5 songs in, I was just doing my thing, and then when we get to the last song and the intro on that one rolls, it's a bit longer, the intro, and then I kind of took a breath and I was like, damn, this is sick, and it's almost over. I should have thought about this earlier. But it's all very hard, especially with the 25 minutes that we had. A lot of our normal live intros had to be chopped up and everything squished together to get that in, because they want you in and out, when you're playing the opening slot, they're kind of, they don't know what to expect. It could just be some random local band that doesn't have kind of that experience, being quick and getting things moved on. So we wanted to do our best to make sure our set was exactly 25 minutes, no longer, no less, and then get off the stage as quick as possible. So pretty much every single song, there was a very, very short gap, and we're into the next one. So not a lot of time to take a breather and admire what's going on, just kind of get the job done and play the best show possible. And I think we did pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that set.
It's good that you walked in with that degree of professionalism and forethought to smash it out quickly, and because that speaks when you get asked again.
Yeah.
You remain professional. Amelia, welcome to the chat. How you going? And we've got Spirits again saying you should have seen Dimitri spin faster than Beyblades. Damn. And we got Jackson Kingsmill from Ghost Complex. How you going, buddy? My Singe boys. Yes. How you going, bud? What is cracking?
Yeah.
What is going on tonight?
That's it. Like when you're doing these festivals, like timing is so key. Like there is so much going on. There's so many moving parts. People have to be in very specific places at very specific times. Finishing when you're starting when you're supposed to start, finishing when you're supposed to finish, and getting out of the fucking way will go a long, long way towards people being like, oh yeah, those guys were good. Like they were pro. They did what they needed to do. Like they didn't, being not memorable for, in that sense is a good thing, because they, you don't want them remembering you because you didn't start when you were supposed, you caused them all these problems, right? Like they got so many things they got to think about. If they look back and they're looking over it and they're like, hey, like these, if they go, these guys caused me trouble, like they're not going to work with you again. Mm-hmm. If they're looking back going, okay, these guys played and I didn't hear a peep out of them for the rest of the fucking thing, that's good. Like they'll go, cool. That means if I didn't hear about them being trouble, that means that they did what they were supposed to do. And that's what people want in those environments.
Yeah, man. And this chat is going off tonight. I'm sorry, but Jackson has just said something very, very funny. I'm not saying they won the comp because I sang the last chorus of Refract, but that's why they won.
I mean, he did a pretty good job. I could hear him in my in-ears, and it was mint. I didn't even have to do it.
He's a weapon. And Mike Hunt, how are you, buddy? Hello. How you going, bud? What's up, Mike?
Mike in the chat. But yeah, so look, I'm stoked that you guys were able to have that opportunity. you absolutely deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of the stuff you guys are putting out there is like, it's, you know, it's on par with what everyone's doing at, you know, what proper bands are doing at the moment. Like, that's what it is. In this day and age, access to decent recording facilities, even on a relatively tight budget, are so prevalent that I think if you're not, like, if you're putting music out there that sounds shit production wise, you're almost doing it on purpose at that point. You know, you're doing the black metal thing and recording on a Fisher Price set or something. It's like, it's access to this stuff is so much cheaper than it used to be. And that's advantages and disadvantages, but for bands that want to get the good stuff out there, it means that there's no excuses not to, really. And like the stuff that you guys are putting out, it's hitting the mark. It's like we've been seeing a lot of bands lately, I think Kyle and I, where
the Sydney metalcore scene is going bonkers at the fucking moment.
And we can go, these are bands that grew up listening to the same stuff that we did, and it shows in their influences. And look, I couldn't be happier for, you know, a bunch of dudes that clearly deserve to have a, you know, that degree of success, to be getting it. You know, it's well earned, it's well deserved.
Mike's saying he still didn't get his frozen vegetables.
Frozen vegetables. Yeah, that's a nice little inside joke. There was we did a little I don't know, that would have been for a show, I think, in Tamworth, and then
It wasn't
Ethan
Tamworth,
yeah. Ethan, our vocalist, just decided to grab a bag of frozen vegetables and chuck it across the room, and Dimitri happened to be filming, and that's a nice little inside joke in the friend group.
I love it. I love that shit.
I was gonna say, like, first off, thank you very much for the kind words on our music. We're really happy with how things have sounded, and we're happy to know that you feel that way as well as a listener, because it's obviously difficult on our end to really hear it as a proper song. We kind of just hear it as our thing that we've been working on for
I know
however long.
I know how it goes.
But that's the thing, man. At the end of the day, it should never be a worry, and this is the whole purpose of writing for yourselves. At the end of the day, and we talk about this all the time. You know, you write for yourself, you release it. It's up to the population to receive it the way it does, and you're obviously doing very good fucking work because the population is receiving it very fucking well.
Yeah. I mean, some of the messages we've been receiving are kind of insane. Even we wanted to we put a guitar playthrough up of our latest single with these two boys. And some of the comments on there is really good. I like seeing people frothing over the guitar work because we have such talented string boys in the band, and Dimitri is otherworldly.
Man, I remember seeing you guys at the Burdekin Hotel with Ghost Complex. That was awesome. I was blown away. Like I knew there was something up. You know, you can just tell. You can just tell. I'm old. I can tell.
Hey, we played the Burdekin heaps of times, and you know, every time we play there, it's fun, and we always go full energy. It's a nice, small, intimate room, and
I love it.
So we're happy that comes across to the
We
audience
always
as well.
we always feel at home at the Burdekin, just playing so many sets there. We have so many memories just jogging around in that room, exposing all these people to brand new material at the time, and it's always a joy playing that room.
I love it. It's great. It's great that you guys take the art so seriously because you guys put on a hell of a live show.
Yeah, I mean the show's kind of we I think the last time we were talking, we had just been in the process of purchasing an in-ear rack. It was pretty much like just happening, and now we've had it for a few months, and it's really, in our opinion, tightened things up a lot. So I think even compared to like 6 months ago, our show's a completely different experience, and we just want it to keep getting better and better each time we play.
Can I ask, with the move to an in-ear rack, are you guys playing to a click, or are you just still kind of freewheeling it?
We're playing to a click. I was always playing to a click, but now the other boys have joined in, and they all get to hear as well.
It really does make a huge difference, I think. Like, I've had, since moving up here from Sydney, both of the bands that I've been in have sort of utilized clicks. The first one, Skunk Bone, we had just our drummer was using a click to help us out because, you know, we were kind of just writing songs that were the same tempo the whole way through, and it's just easy enough to pop him on a click. Start it, off you go, do your thing. We weren't really using samples or anything, so you can just, you can do that. You can do that quite easily and run away with it. And even that was incredible, was really good. We were getting a lot of comments on how tight the performance was. And moving to Nuclear Vision, we initially weren't using a click, but that we had an in-ear rack that was partially there, like the singer had it from a previous incarnation of the band. So, you know, I grabbed a hold of that, put in all the extra stuff that we needed to get it over the line there, and now we're running, you know, in-ears with individual mixes and clicks and timed samples that are queued up, and we literally just go program out the whole set start to finish. However long we've got, that's what we've got. If we're starting on time, we're good with a couple of minutes, you know, leeway built in, and the samples go when they need to go, and we don't have to worry, the drummer doesn't have to worry about hitting sample pad or anything or bringing that. We literally just bring it, and we even go out the back of that to the PA system as well. And because, you know, guitars and bass just run straight into that. The only thing that doesn't go through that is the drums. And it does make so much difference. Again, like similar to what you guys have experienced, right? Like we've had people say, that's the best I've ever seen you guys perform, because everyone's on the click, everyone knows what's coming up. We got little cues in our ear going, hey, this is the next song, this is coming up. You got like 10 seconds till the song, all that good stuff. And once you start doing that, it tightens up the whole band to a degree that it's very, very difficult to get without that. And, you know, it's something like that really does help take a band's performances to the next level. So, I'm stoked that you guys are utilizing that.
All right, we're going to have to just read some of this chat. Just 2 seconds. Don't lose that thought.
Oh, my God. They're going crazy.
Dimitri is the AU Jesse Cash.
Nice.
I mean, he is one of my heroes. I won't argue with that.
Then we got Mike. I'm not reading your full name every time, bro. We got Mike going, Dimitri fingers be making us all happy, all of us happy. And then Jackson said Dimitri and Dan have turbo fingers.
Oh, man. True. I've had to whip them out.
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Daniel is probably the only other person in the world I know who can literally flex on these riffs. So, yeah, like, literally very difficult playing style to find in someone. And, yeah, we're both smashing it on stage.
Good. I love it. I love that.
You're trying to outdo each other?
There's
a little bit of friendly competition.
That's what I'm talking about, man. It makes you work harder.
Dimitri's always peaked. Like, no, I couldn't beat him in a million years, to be quite honest. But I like giving it a fair crack, you know.
Daniel's where he shines is his stage presence. He's the most active person on stage, and since joining the band, because he's the newest member of the band, it's made a huge difference. Like, our show is completely different with him jumping around.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you what. Some of the best bass players are the best hype men as well.
That's Daniel.
Like, yeah.
I wanted to quickly jump back to the topic of the in-ears. So it's prior to us owning an in-ear system, or at least to my knowledge, I was the only one who was inexperienced with what it's like to be on in-ears, like during a live rig or a live set.
I think Ethan.
When we drop, sorry, keep going.
Ethan as well, sorry.
Oh yeah, true. So before we even owned or upgraded to an in-ear system, we played all of the songs off Fake and Minded raw, and not raw, but James was the only one locked into the tracks via a certain method we used with an interface that went into a laptop, where he could split the backing track into one side and the click in the other, and James was the only one locked in that kept us in sync. When playing raw in that style gave us a more organic understanding of the songs. It kept us tighter. It kept us to sort of develop our performance without the need of a click for a time. And then when we upgraded to it, that was just peak advantage that we just took for ourselves and immediately improved our understanding of the songs. But personally, it also made me reflect on Because I think some of us already know the story about when Parkway also upgraded to an in-ear system and how, there's this urge to never want to go back. I think one thing that I started doing, like, personally is, or not to myself, but one thing I considered doing in future is, for new songs that we could have, that would have in the future, is we practice them organically without the click, and then jump onto the in-ear system, because then we'd be cleaning up any, not imperfections, but sort of eliminate the possibility of just not being able to play the songs, even with a click as well.
Ooh,
Yeah, definitely. I think
that's interesting.
That's really important, and I think like I feel obviously I don't think any band's going in there writing the songs and developing the songs on a click track, right? Like obviously it's going to start very organically in most cases, and once you've kind of nailed down the song, then you go, all right, what's the tempos? Where are we going to move? Put it on terms of a click track, right? And that's really key. But one thing that I think some people find with a click track as well is in terms of a negative is, and that's something that like our Nuclear Vision's guitarist has actually mentioned. He's brought it up. He feels that at times certain gigs, depending on the size of the stage and everything, like he finds it can almost be a disconnect. Like he finds himself feeling disconnected from the audience because obviously the bits are in your ears. You're not hearing as much outside sound. So he actually tends to run with one in, one out, so that he can still get some of that ambience.
Misha from Periphery does the exact same thing, and
Yep.
he actually and I read the article and I thought, man, that is the best idea. He runs a little preamp on his stage, so he actually has a live sort of like a box, and then at points during the set, depending on where he is and stuff like that, he'll pop his in-ears out and just take them out completely and just listen and get a feel for the room and how the crowd's going, and then pop them back in. I mean, that's such a good idea. I completely understand that, because when you go into a live thing, the crowd is like 50% of your hype. The more like you feed off their energy, and if you can't hear them, it sort of takes a bit away from it, I guess.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say with that, because in nearly all cases I agree, and I see the other boys sometimes with the ear out. The only thing though is that good things, because we had no clue what to expect, and the scary part being like three of us having microphones is, when you speak, you get that huge like effect of it going out into the crowd. It's almost nerve-wracking. You kind of think about doing like a public speaking back in primary school or something, and you go to a microphone for the first time. So being with the in-ears and having everything self-contained, kind of, at least for me, helped me feel very locked in and connected to the boys, and allowed me to start and ignore what was happening in front of me for me to get my bearings. And then later on, I had the moment where I'd be able to take it out and have a listen to what was going on and just see what I was missing out on for the first few songs. But it definitely helped me get bearings, that's for sure.
Definitely, and I feel like that's something as well. Like it helps to keep what you're hearing the same, regardless of what the venue is, right? Like that's obviously that's a benefit of it, I find, because you've got you're doing, and I don't know if you guys have got the old like Behringer X18 or X16 Air or whatever it is in the thing, but like you do that and you're setting out your mix and everything, and you've got your mix, your mix is going to be good, you're not having to fart ass around with anything, you're basically plugging in, line check, cool, everything's coming through, quick, and depending on what environment you're playing in and what gig it is, you might get a song sound check so that they can set front of house sound. Sometimes they'll be like, yep, all the lines are working, off you go, and they mix it on the fly to get it dialed in during your first song. But it really does allow you as a band to have that consistency, which is a big factor as well. It's not just the fact that it's in-ears, it's the fact that it's a consistent mix that is your feedback, so you know what you need to be listening for, and you can improve it and change that and set that so that you're going to be good, which makes so much difference, right? It's that being prepared for the situation. And obviously, like, I have no doubt that if something was to happen and the rig was to something was to go out with it, you're obviously more than capable of still performing the songs incredibly well without that. But it's just such a nice to have thing, and that consistency just makes so much difference. And that's why I see more and more bands switching to that kind of setup, because again, it's becoming more affordable at least to do at a very basic level.
100% it is. It's almost getting to the stage where there's no excuse. And this is I say this to the cows come home. The very least any band should have is your drummer should have a click track. It is not fair that everyone else in the band has someone to listen to except for the drummer. That poor drummer, that poor person, he's got the hardest job in the band, he's got no one to listen to. Poor soul.
Yeah, I think the click's definitely crucial for the drummer. I think we've been, I, as the drummer, have been playing on the clicks since the first show that we played. I'd be very scared if there wasn't a click. Like, if our innies whole rack fails, we have like a couple backup rigs that we can run that'll mimic what we used to have with the old Focusrite thing. But that would obviously just leave me on click, and the rest of the boys would have to go back to their natural instincts.
But you have that muscle memory already there. That's a good thing. You've already done it, and you did it. In my opinion, you did it the right way. You went bare bones. You went click. Everyone has to learn it because that's the way we all learn. A lot of us didn't have clicks to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, and it's good that you built up, because unfortunately, if you're spoiled and you never know what happens when something goes wrong. When it does go wrong, you can't back it up, and that's not the caliber of musician that you want to present yourself to be. You want to be able to fucking adapt to. A good musician can adapt to any situation.
Yeah. I just want to go back a little bit. We were talking before a little bit earlier about, you know, obviously the songs that you guys have put out, like, you don't hear them the same way everyone else does because you wrote them and you were there for the development of them, right? Something that I'm always fascinated by is if I didn't write the songs and I just heard them, like if my memory could be wiped of writing them and I just heard the songs, would I still like them? How would I feel about the songs without, you know, taking that out of the equation? And I think that I don't know if it's something that a lot of musicians ponder, but I think a lot more musicians should think about it if they don't. Because, you know, and not in an egotistical way of, I wish I could hear my songs for the first time.
No, we're not Kanye West here.
I'm not to do it that way, but just to be like, if there was a way to do that at least temporarily, so I could be like, what do I really think about this song? Before I'm releasing it, right? Like, I got it ready, I think it's finished, it's all there. If I could like temporarily erase my memory of it and hear it again for the first time, how would I react?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, I want to let the other boys like answer. I know I'm taking a lot of the talking, but I had a point on this because
fucking drummers always taking over control of shit, man.
They have to.
Sorry, what can I do? But no, it's just that we do have this discussion a lot when we're writing, because it's very easy to write a song that takes like 4 or 5 months to come together and then just be sick of it at that point and be like, I just want to finish this damn track. But one of the things that I try and remind myself is that initial spark when you hear the riff or the part and you're like, damn, that was fucking sick. Just if there was ever a moment in time where I said that to a part, I just ignore any further opinions that I have on it until the whole song's done, because I know that at one point when I heard it first, it was sick, and when a fan hears it first, they're going to feel the same way. So yeah,
I like it.
it's pretty much my way around it.
I mean, for me, especially with the Vacant Minded stuff, I wasn't around during the actual writing per se, but I was definitely there during the lead up to the release and stuff. So I guess for me, I can kind of see. I definitely understand, but for me, it's like I know how the song should sound as well. So it's like I'm able to make that fan, but also make the differentiation between a fan and the person who's creating and playing the music. And I guess through that process, I've kind of learned with everything that we've kind of sat on and come up with in the last few months, that it's just like, okay, I know when and where I need to take that step back from it. And it's a thing that I feel like a lot of, like you were saying, people need to be able to understand it from a fan's point of view as well. So I do like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that's all. That's that kind of context. I think is so important to understanding. And look, obviously, I think that people should make music that they enjoy first and foremost. I don't think anyone should, you know, be making music solely based on what the fans want.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm one of these people that whatever creative decisions a band makes to release music that they want to release, and if they go in a new direction and their fans get mad about it, I'm like, they don't owe you anything. But it's you know, I think if people stay true to their own enjoyment of it, and I think you're right. Like, yeah, you can just have the conscious thought. Is my point. Like, you know, if I was hearing this for the first time, what would I think? And that's where the whole, like, even with like mixing songs, right? When you're mixing them, you kind of have to walk away from them for a bit and then come back and listen to the mix again, and you're like, okay, like you got fresh ears on it again. Sometimes putting a song down and not playing it for a while, and then, or not hearing it for a while and then coming back to it, you know, a few weeks later, can refresh it a little bit, and even that can be enough to give you that refresher on it. But I just think it's so important to do just a bit more in the chat from people as well. Jackson is there. When is everyone in the band going to start wearing lightning shirts like Ethan?
Ethan has the best wardrobe.
Yeah, Mike is up there. A real question: when are they wearing goofy PJs on stage? Mitchell's in there going, James is an absolute fucking weapon. And yeah, Ethan in the chat. Thank you for joining us in the chat, Ethan.
What's up, Ethan?
So yeah, look, it's amazing, and I mean, so obviously you guys were on the podcast a little while ago. I'll be honest, I've copped to it. Unfortunately, I haven't watched that episode. Really, really bad form, I know. But what have you guys been up to other than playing Good Things in the time since then? I think you guys released a music video.
I think it was 2 or 3, something like that.
A couple of music videos in that time, is that right?
We dropped one, and I do think we showed you, Buddy, our track last time.
Yes.
Call, if you remember.
Yes.
That did end up coming out. And then we dropped a bunch of, like we did the playthrough video and a bunch of other little promotional items. The rest of the stuff that was supposed to come out alongside hasn't been recorded yet because we wanted to spend the money getting that gear set up with the in-ear stuff. That was kind of priority for us. But we didn't want to leave everyone high and dry, so we got that one song out. And yeah, there is quite a few other little things in the works at the moment. The boys might elaborate for you.
When we're sitting like over a lot of new material that we could work on for months on end, you know, as you mentioned earlier, there's the prospect of working on it for a bit and then leaving it down and then coming back to it maybe a week or two later with fresh ideas and a more, you know, cleared approach to how we could work on the music, or, you know, just keep it going and keep that train rolling. Definitely a lot of revisioning, a lot of time to ourselves, just listening to influences, inspirations, just creative mediums that could help us be a little bit more motivated to where we could take the direction for newer music as well.
Yeah. But otherwise, it's all just been demos sitting in the vault, getting worked on every now and then between shows, really trying to keep our live show presence active while we're not having music being pumped out. But that should change very soon.
Very good.
Okay.
Very good.
See, I like that though. Like, you kind of constantly working on a little bit of new material in the background, either individually or as a group, and then when you're ready, you can kind of smash out a bunch of new stuff, and you're like, cool, we've got a bunch of new material now. I mean, you can release that however you find best to roll that out.
And one thing that Dimitri said that I really like is that taking the time to actually sit back and listen to a bit of new influences and stuff like that. I find when you start writing a lot of your own stuff, you tend to block out a lot of other music in order to stop that from mulling over into your writing process. Being able to sort of step back and decompress it and appreciate music again can really step up your writing game when you walk back into the studio, give you some fresh ideas. And yeah, more bands should spend a lot more time just decompressing and enjoying music.
Oh yeah, in so many different mediums too, because it's like when we're in the process of working on new music, even sometimes I would tend to sit away from metal music you'd probably see me in a cinema watching a movie, playing a video game, and just being exposed to different kinds of arrays of sounds and, you know, different varieties to sort of inspire, you know, even the smallest detail in the new music. And just all that time to soak it in is, you know, it's an enjoyable experience for somebody who just likes to draft things in their own mind.
Yeah, but I think this is something that I was saying last week on the podcast, right? Is just, I think that not all the time, but I think at least some of the time, true music fans are always on the hunt for new music. They're always on the hunt for something that's different and unique and that they haven't heard before. And it's, I mean, because before being a podcaster, before being a musician, before all of that, first and foremost, I'm a fan of music. I'm a music fan, and I think some people, when they've been playing music for a while, they tend to lose a bit of that. They tend to become less of a fan of music and just focus so much on their own stuff that they lose that desire to seek out new stuff. And I'm always on the hunt for it. Always. Like, I'm always down to listen to something new that's different and unique and that I haven't heard before, because you get that thrill again, right? Like, you get that excitement of finding that something new and interesting.
Keeps you young, man. Keeps you young.
I can, you know, like, I still think about, because I was never super into a lot of these, like deathcore was never something I was really, really into. Like, I'd heard a lot of the band names, but I just never really listened to it. And then, like, 2015, I was sort of just bouncing around on YouTube, and I started, at the time, I stumbled onto, and I know they're not quite deathcore, they're kind of like more of an evolution of deathcore, but I stumbled onto In the Wake of the Wolf by Black Tongue. And at the time, like, since then, I've listened to a lot more of, you know, that style, but at the time, it was so different from anything else I was listening to, and it just blew my fucking mind. And that's an experience that, you know, you don't get a lot, you know, anymore. And that really kind of made me think about it, and it's made me realize how important constantly finding new and interesting music is.
I think people chase
the podcast too. Like,
100%. But the big thing is, it's actually funny you say that. You just put a thought in my head. Maybe it's like more so the fact that these people that listen to the same music that they used to listen to back in the day all the time are chasing that moment where that moment in time where they were, where people that listen to new music are trying to find that moment with something fresh. They gave you that you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing better than when I hear a band that I've never heard of that gives me that same feeling that when I was a teenager again.
And you'll never get it listening to the same stuff all the time.
Like, I'm not.
You will never get that same experience listening to the same bands that you've heard 1,000 times.
That just makes me feel like I'm
find
old.
New stuff to get that.
A lot of people have the opinion, and I didn't think this before, but I've started to think it now. A lot of people think that the metalcore genre is quite oversaturated with the same sound, and it is. There's a lot of bands doing the same thing. But before, I was just kind of into I was like, oh, there's another cool riff that sounds like this band. Give me that. I want to hear that. And I was listening to it. I was like, yeah, there's more of what I like. But after a while, I mean, really recently, I've been struggling to, you know, get hooked on things because they just sound like I've already heard it before. And then when bands like, I don't know if you guys listened to the new Silent Planet album, but when they put their, like that song Antimatter out, I was just like, wow, this is very different for them, and I'm so stoked on it, and I want to hear what they do. And then bands like Northlane, just dropping completely new genres every time they release music, which is sick. So I just love when bands experiment, and they don't, like, it's not about bands going soft or, you know, not screaming or whatever. I just like when they, you know, try and incorporate something that someone else isn't doing, and if it sticks, it sticks, and if it doesn't, they'll move on to something else.
Look, I appreciate what you're saying there. We just recently done the a reaction video for Dante, the new Northlane track, and look, it was a great heavy metal house track. I think they've started a new genre of heavy metal house. I don't know. But I was understanding what Raph was saying, where it's like if you were to say, hey, I've got this heavy metal band North Lane that I listen to, you should check them out. That would not be the track I would give to
Yeah.
a metalhead, if you know what I'm saying.
For context, right, I'd not really listened to Northlane. Like, I'd heard the name, I knew the reputation, but I'd never listened to them. So I was excited to check them out for the reaction, and then that was the song. And I'm like, where's this band I heard about? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I just, like, it's definitely different. But, like, the experimenting, the changing up the sound, like, that's the reason, you know, you look at the classic Big Four, the sole reason that I think Metallica is considered the biggest of the Big Four, not necessarily the best, everyone's got their own opinion on the best, but objectively they are the biggest. I think the reason for that is that they switched it up. They experimented, they went different directions with things, right? You look at everyone else in the Big Four and it's like, you know, Megadeth is still playing the same sound that they played that Dave was doing in the 80s. Like, you know, Slayer kind of just kept doing the same thing. They tried a couple of different things, but they've kept that essence of Slayer. Anthrax was just, they were always going to be fucking Anthrax.
Oh, fuck
right?
yeah.
Metallica is the only band of the Big Four that went, hey, we want to do something different. And doing that different thing has allowed them to gain audiences across a broader range and has allowed them to become, realistically, the biggest heavy metal band in the world. And whether you like them or not, whether you enjoy everything they've done or not, objectively, I think they are the biggest heavy metal band in the world. Or at least a case can be made for that.
Yeah.
Because they switched it up. And,
I don't know any other band that's selling out Madison Square Garden and not playing the same set 2 nights in a row. And like, name three.
And like, this is where other bands that I've been a big fan of, like Lamb of God and Machine Head and even Devil Driver to a point, like their first sort of 4 to 7 albums were really good and a bit interesting because they kind of kept it different and each one sounded a little bit different. But their last few albums have all kind of been more or less the same old.
Well, you got to think about evolution.
And from the audiences.
No, but evolution's like everything. It hits a point and then it just plateaus, man. Like you can only evolve so much. Over time, you just hit a point, and you know, like we said the other night, like with that Alienist review that we did. Don't need to go reinventing the wheel, man. You just need to nail your shit and be fucking tight and do it well.
That song's dope.
Yeah. Yeah, we got that rare reaction. Will be out on Metal Ruse soon. If it's not already, you'll be able to check that one out on the Metal Ruse channel for sure. So I wanted to ask a little bit because I've seen the Good Things Band competition, but I've not gone to any of the shows or been involved in it myself. Like, what was the process of going through that competition like for you?
Daniel, you tell us.
I mean, it was interesting because, especially for the final heat, like the one the week before the actual festival, where we found out who was actually going to play it, there was like how many bands were there? There were 4 bands. One of them was a wild card band. One of them was a good friend of ours, like Auratech. Shout out to them. They came out and supported us. Yeah, they're doing some dope things. So it felt a little weird to be up against like friends and people that we kind of saw as peers, but by the same token, we understood that with I say this obviously with like love and nothing else, but it's like we had to show up to like put it in, you know. We had to it was weird to be able to it was weird to have to do that and to kind of take that away from a friend. It felt a bit weird, but it was like awesome. But at the same
time, like they knew what it was about. Like, they knew everyone was there.
Everyone was on the
This is what I've talked about a million times. At the end of the day, we love our peers around us. But we all jibing for that one spot. And at the end of the day, man, it's competition. This whole game that we play, everyone is going for that big spot, and we're all. And look, you guys go into it with like what you just said there, Dan, is beautiful. But it's us or them.
You can love and respect these people, and you're still gonna. But and that's the thing. Like I said, they were there for the same thing, and knowing them, they were probably like, look, we don't want to take this away from anyone else, but we want that spot.
Yeah.
And
The
the
sick thing
respect
is-
between one another means that everyone understands that everyone's in that same position.
Like,
Yeah.
especially after our names got called and we found out like everything, like what was actually happening. Like when we got our names called out, they were like super happy for us as well. So like,
Exactly.
even if it was the other way around, like it would still be the same. We'd still be like hella keen to be like friends with them because we love them, and it's just like, yeah. So the sentiment is definitely there. Like, but it felt good to kind of come up on top at the end of the day.
But either way, like
It was very.
the thing with the festival and the comp as well, and being with so many friends in the heats and the finals, is that no matter who won, it'll be a good thing for the local scene. It shines a spotlight on the local scene, and we'll be able to play hopefully some bigger shows because of the fans we got from Good Things, and then that'll just help the other bands that are on the lineup. Everyone will get exposed to more new people, and if Auratech won, then we might play something with them later on, and a bunch of their fans that they've made at Good Things would then see us. It's it's all just about helping everyone, and at
That
some
is
point.
the fucking mindset.
Yeah.
That is what I'm talking about.
And if more
every
bands,
single
if more
heat-
bands keep that mindset as well, like that's what's important. If more bands engage with and maintain that mindset, that's what's going to rebuild the scene.
And what James said right there is so true. When one of your crew win, even though you're not in the same band, but when you're doing the circuits together, when one of your crew win, and when you get on that next show, more people come to that show. Everyone's a fucking winner in that. No one loses.
Exactly. So
Every heat,
Go on, Dimitri.
heat we generally just played. It was. I froze.
Yeah. Hold on.
just 4 words of that sentence for as long as you want.
Okay, hold on. We're back.
We're back. Is the live stream back?
The live stream is back. I don't
Alright,
know what
cool.
the fuck happened there.
All good.
Alright.
All good.
Okay, so Dimitri, you were talking about the heat.
Yeah, man. So, every heat we played in this competition was wholesome, and it made sense we were up against the artists that in those competitions because it was really fierce competition, and everyone that was involved was. It made sense they were showing the stage with us because we were all very just a group of and community of talented artists who strive to make such a big name. And at the end of the day, man, it was just a wholesome experience getting to be congratulated by everyone who we shared the stage with, and just be taken to that next phase each and every single time we played. And yeah, it's just an incredible experience.
We want more.
I love that. That camaraderie is so important, and like you say, the rising tide lifts all ships. And when one band does well, and they're out there wanting to shoot, because that's the thing. Yep, it's great to do well when you are going to be happy for your friends if they do well ahead of you, and they're going to be happy for you if you do well ahead of them, and everyone wants to share that love and support for each other. That's when the scene thrives, and when the bands are doing that, the fans do that, and the fans are more open to being into the other bands and everything, and it's a cycle that perpetuates.
Yeah, and that's the
it
big
just
thing
helps everything.
when it comes down to community. And look, man, we're not us metalheads. We're not the biggest community in the world in Australia, so we should all be trying to rise up together. And people will start taking the scene as serious as what we think it is. When we stop trying, and this is when we talk about this gatekeeper shit of scenes and styles, and man, metal's metal. Just go out and enjoy the music. I don't care whether you're wearing a battle jacket or big fucking studs. Just go and have fun. That's all we're there to do. We're all a pack of misfits in this world, and we just want to enjoy ourselves. I hate this gatekeeper shit.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
exactly. So let's all right. Actually, you'll keep going. I gotta step out for a second. You
Alright.
keep going.
All right. So, can you take me through once? So you got like gear sponsorships and stuff like that after getting the. Take us through a bit of that. What was that like? Like, so you've won the show, you've won the spot. What was sort of the next couple of steps that sort of followed after that with getting the gear supplied and the shit like that?
In terms of getting the gear, we've actually been working. I don't know if you know the name, but we've been working with a company called Unreal Studios for I'd say about 6 months, 4 to 6 months now. They reached out to us after, I think it was just before our headliner show, for the Lania K release show, and essentially he hit us up and he was like, "Hey guys, do you guys need gear? I'm essentially trying to start up this little thing," and we jumped on it. Like we saw the opportunity. We spoke with him at a few shows prior. I think Ethan spoke to him initially, and he spoke to me afterwards, and Dimitri as well. And it was just kind of like a relationship building thing. Like we just built this relationship with Andrew from Unreal Studios, and essentially he's been supplying us with a few bits of goodies here and there, a few care packages. I've also, I'm not going to take the credit, but because I played New Tone Strings as well, he's managed to score himself a little supplying deal, I believe, with them. So
Nice.
if you're a bass player looking for heavy gauge strings, I use the custom North Lane set from New Tone, and Andrew's got them over there. So yeah, Dimitri's been getting, like, what do you use, my friend? Well, I can't remember.
Dadaro and YXLs, just plain really strong sets for 7-string models as well, which they've got.
Yeah. He's even set up things with some sticks and heads and stuff, and just a few little goodies here and there, like picks and whatnot, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. See, and this is where we talk about community. It's when they see people are doing good things, and it comes down to hard work, and you guys are so busy. And that's where it's at now. You guys are busy on the socials, you guys are busy everywhere. And that's where it's got to be at now. And you guys are just a force to be reckoned with at the moment, quite clearly.
It feels good to be viewed like that.
Oh man! At the end of the day, you don't get spots like that for being shit cunts, do you?
That is true. We do take a lot of pride. We do take a lot of pride in our in everything as much as we can.
Yeah,
like,
well, I mean, and even your mindset, the way you didn't walk in there after winning thinking that you guys were a bunch of rock stars or anything like that. You walked in there with a professional mindset. We said we're going to make this as easy as possible for every single sound engineer and roadie in there. We're going to get the fuck on. We're going to play our set. We're going to get the fuck off.
Yeah.
Like,
we were constantly asking questions as well. With like, especially because it was our first time. We were like,
yeah.
Okay, need to know where you want us to go, where you want us to plug in for whatever, and it was definitely a learning curve.
Yeah, take
yeah.
it all in. The more you listen, the more you learn. And the next time you walk onto the stage, you're going to know a stage like that. You're going to know half of what to do, and you're going to get to ask new questions.
Exactly.
And it's all learning, man. You guys are so young, and you got opportunities like that. Yeah, I think back when we were kicking around, it was Red B that got that opportunity for us. And that was so cool, you know. And you now us getting to see you guys do that, and having you on the podcast before, and seeing all your music and stuff like that, and watching it turn into this. And this is why we do what we do.
That's it. I mean, like I said, you know, we do this podcast because literally, Kyle and I, we are fans of music before anything else. And we do the podcast because we love talking to each other about music, and we want to get the bands on to talk to the bands about music, their music, and their thoughts on music in general. And it always warms our heart to see, because we recognised what everyone else in the Australian metal scene recognises, which is that the level of talent here that does not get the recognition it deserves is criminal. Like we because you guys and us and every other fucking Aussie band that we've had on this podcast, we're in it, we see it. We experience it every fucking show that we're at, every show we attend, every show we play. We see bands that deserve far more success than they've had, and that are extremely talented, and that if they were in America or the UK, would be fucking way further along in their careers.
Would at least be able to make it a sustainable and viable.
Yeah. Would be able to make it a self-sustaining career, rather than a money pit.
I'm not saying millionaires, but at least you'll be able to pay your bills week to week.
And, like every opportunity we get, we tell people. Like when I was in the States, everyone I talked to about music, everyone I met, I'm like, oi, here's a list of 5 pages of Australian bands you need to be fucking listening to. We've had when we had Neil Kay from on the podcast the other week, legendary fucking rock club DJ. And I'm like, I still have to send it to him, but I've got a whole fucking list of Aussie bands. I'm like, man, you need to check all these bands out, because the talent is unreal, and especially in some genres. Like, I mean, Kyle says it every other fucking week. Like, Aussie prog hits different.
Fuck, kick shit.
Aussie, it just hits at a level that, again, bands. It's almost like the isolation has done for the evolution of music what it did for the evolution of animals. We have developed in a lot of subgenres of metal very unique flourishes and elements that are only Australian bands are doing, and it just doesn't get the recognition that it deserves, unfortunately. Even with the advent of Spotify and all these things kind of allowing bigger reach, people just
but then you got
only starting to wake up to what the Australian metal scene can bring. But that's the thing. Hopefully, with more opportunities going to Australian bands. I know this is the second year that I have noticed good things doing the band competition. I don't know if they've done it prior to that.
They've done it 3 times, I think.
Okay.
But I think it's a brilliant idea because it puts Australian talent in front of these people that are coming to Australia from overseas.
Not just that, as soon as you slap a Good Things fucking logo on that, you get people interested as well.
Exactly.
The
but like, you guys are out there and
fucking...
you don't know who from what band's crew saw you guys and heard you guys playing and is going to be like maybe talking to their people, and they're like, right, next time we come back here, that's a band we got to reach out to.
Or even Dragons over there. I'd love to see that.
And I know that seems silly to say, and it might seem like hopium and like, oh my god, like it's our big break to do it. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's a guarantee by any means, but you don't know. And I just think that I think it'd be a great idea if more festivals were doing something like that. Or if not having a competition, putting like an Aussie stage on. If you're a multi-stage festival, have a stage that has a focus on Australian.
Do you remember Big Day Out used to do that? Big Day Out used to do that back in the day. All Aussie stage, all day. Mm-hmm. But that was back when like Friends of Rhyme and shit used to headline, and then they got rid of it, and then they slotted into opening the days.
Yeah. But it's still important for the local scene to do that.
The funny thing was, I brag on about how like one of my first shows the first show that put me on my path was the Offspring Americana tour when Eskimo Joe opened for them, and everyone's like Eskimo Joe, and I'm like, if you didn't know, Eskimo Joe were an actual fucking punk band back in the day, and they played their punk shit at Good Things.
Yeah.
I love Eskimo Joe, and I didn't get to see their set because I was too busy packing things down. I'm very upset about that.
But it's like everything, right? Like you look at Grinspoon, like early Grinspoon was hard as motherfucker. Like early Grinspoon was fucking angry music, man. And that just, if you went off their most recent stuff, even like yeah, a lot of these bands, you go back to Powderfinger, like early Powderfinger was a lot more aggressive.
Sorry, man. For me, what put grunge in the forefront of Australian music, Frog Stomp.
Yeah,
Bunch of fucking
absolutely.
15-year-olds did that, or younger did that. Bro,
14, 15, yeah.
that album is iconic. I still listen to that album, and it holds the fuck up.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah. Wild to think. You look at it and you're like, they were 15, they were like 14 when they wrote.
And they did the
recorded
exact
that? Are you
same shit. They
fucking
won a
serious?
band comp.
Yep. Yep. So it's just crazy, and I think that, you know, the more exposure that bands can get through these kind of things, the better.
But I think this is where it boils down to, like, okay, so like volumes. You guys play with volumes recent? Yes, see,
We did.
you did at the Rattler.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah. This, and good on volumes for doing that shit, coming out and putting on a bunch of Aussie acts. Like, this is, and that is the biggest thing that needs to happen. Some of a bit more of these niche sort of that do have a bit of reach need to come out, maybe play a couple of these smaller shows up and down the East Coast and put on the Aussie bands.
I think that was the coolest part about that tour. Like a lot of the venues were rather small, or like in my not gonna say that. I take that back. Sorry, but they were rather
Personal.
venues. Personal experience. Like us to see volumes at Red Rattler. Like me being one of the first metal shows I went to when I first actually thought about getting into bands and stuff. Like playing in one was at the Red Rattle. And it's insane to see one of the high school bands I was listening to play that venue, and then obviously to be part of that show as well. It's awesome to see small venues like that, or like venues that are personal, like have that experience.
Intimate experience for a band like that was very cool.
And
Okay.
It's always such an uplifting experience. Like being in an old venue, you always used to go and watch shows, and then you end up playing that venue, and it just feels like it comes full circle in your life. And you never thought you'd grow into those shoes and actually become a performing artist. And motivating others to literally follow in your shoes. Just this awesome vicious cycle of inspiration and influence that just bounces around in the scene.
the
exactly.
greatest thing is it's never the reason why any artist gets into what they do, but it's definitely the fucking best part of the reward. When you can inspire people, man, don't get me wrong, the money's great, but when you can actually inspire people and make change in people, that is worth so much more.
Yeah, definitely.
100%. And also, just on that point as well, in terms of inspiration, and the biggest thing I think is talking to other artists in the scene at shows. Like, there's heaps of local shows and even bigger shows where artists will talk to you. Like, people you wouldn't expect to talk to you will stop by and have a chat. Even like bands like our good friends in Inertia. Like, I'm a huge Inertia sweater, so it's kind of interesting being able to have a chat with them and being such a big fan. But they've helped motivate me a lot. There's been times where I'm like, this is kind of not going as fast as I want it to. I really want to play this big show, or I want to get these streams or whatever. And those boys have helped get my head screwed on properly more times than I can count on my hands. And they've always pointed me in the right direction because they've just gone through it. They've just been signed and they're getting some big tours, and not too far along behind. They were playing smaller shows and probably feeling the same as me. So being able to have a chat with someone that's done it and can motivate you to keep pushing forward is crucial, I think.
Quite often it can happen all at once. You'll be struggling and pushing along, and then all of a sudden you'll get a break and things will really pick up. It tends to be how it happens these days, I think.
Yeah.
Let's go to the first segment there, Kyle. If you're ready to hit the button.
And let's go to
bang.
That you
Quick question quarter.
You could do so
Let's go.
All right, so it is time for the quick question quarter, spelt with Q's, not K's, because we don't roll like that. And now I believe, James, you were here last time, and you would have done this one last time. So we will be having Dan and Dimitri answer the questions for us this time. Basically, just a bunch of rapid fire questions. They start out relatively easy. They do get a little bit more involved, a little bit more interesting and personal as we go along. But we'll start with the nice, easy ones. First, gentlemen, what was the first instrument that you learned to play?
Bass.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you?
I was probably 12, 13 or something. The ironic part about it is I was going to church at the time, and my friend who I saw on stage playing, he was like my youth leader or whatever. And I essentially walked up to him and I was like, hey man, he was playing the electric guitar at the time, and I walked up to him and I was like, hey man, I really want to learn how to play the bass guitar. I like the way you do it. Not knowing the difference, he's like, yeah man, no worries. About a week later, he gives me Mark Hoppus signature Fender bass to practice on. I had that for about 3 years to learn. So it was a pretty good experience getting into it, to be honest.
And I'm just looking at that bass behind you. It looks like it has a hole in it. What kind of bass is that?
That is actually our old bassist's ESP LPD.
That was
Very nice.
Very nice.
Love the fan frets. I'm a fan of fan frets.
I'm a huge fan of them. This bass is interesting, but it's a little heavier than my Dingwall, but I love it. It's such a nice sounding.
Very nice. It looks like it's pretty fast to play as well. Has that got a fast neck on it?
Yeah, it's very, very thin. It's very nice, like profiled out. Just clean. I have been thinking about sanding off the glossy. Like you can see, it's a little glossy at the moment. I've been thinking about sanding that back just because I'm not too big on the stickiness. But an amazing bass.
See, I'm the reverse, man. Like I'm currently playing as my main bass a Warwick Thumb, and I love the fact that the neck is like a baseball bat.
True.
Like I just love it. I can grab it and really dig in the notes. Sorry, Dimitri. Yes, your first instrument.
So I initially started with a guitar. When I was a young 7-year-old kid, my mother encouraged one of our neighbors who knew how to play guitar to teach me when I was younger. Surprisingly, I fell out of it very quickly in a small number of weeks, and I think I was maybe a 7 or 8-year-old kid. But it's like that one single choice of walking away from the guitar could have altered my destiny forever. And little would I have known, I probably wouldn't have even ended up here on this podcast even talking about music. Just dwelling on it so many years. But when I started high school in 2013, my music teacher was a wizard. Like he properly motivated me and inspired me to pick up the guitar again. And based on anything I learned then, it just immediately sank back into me. Guitar was always my instrument, but my second instrument that I did try in high school was actually piano, but I didn't really cling or stick to that for very long. But yeah,
I gotta say, like, look, piano is a really good choice as well. I'll say that. But the fact that you just said to me when you started high school in 2013, and I was like, I'd already been out of high school for 10 years. Fuck. I'm an old motherfucker, dude. But I'm getting to that point. That hurt a little bit. What was the first album you guys purchased?
Oh, this is gonna hurt too. Oh,
the first one I was gifted. I didn't purchase my first CD, but the first one I remember being gifted was Good Charlotte, the Anthem EP.
Mm-hmm.
I got that on CD back in, I would like to say 2004, 2006 or something. I can't remember. I was a young kid, but I've loved that album, that EP ever since, man. It's a great EP. It always brings back those childhood vibes.
we're so old.
Getting the gray in there, man.
I love it. No, but this is what I love. I love it. It's so awesome to hear what started everyone out, like compared to what. Yeah, I love it.
Kids these days.
I love it. What was yours, Dimitri?
I had a very interesting choice of CDs I bought when I was a kid. At least my first CDs that I bought. I bought two. The first two I literally bought in the same day. We mentioned Metallica earlier. I bought And Justice for All.
Yep.
Solid.
Because I think the first track I heard off that album was One, and I fell in love with it ever since.
Typical
Just wanted
guitarist
to-
playing the album with no bass on it.
Oh yeah, the famous Kirk Hammett solo. You know, just him
Yeah.
shredding his way through, just inspired every guitarist to be a guitar hero. The second album in the same day, which I won't class it. I'll still say Injustice for All, but I do want to quote this one. Daylight Dies, Kill Switch Engage.
Oh!
Great album, killer album.
Yeah.
I still love and worship like that golden era of metalcore. We'll class it as that, but it's still just my favorite vibe of all time.
Very good. Those are two very, very good choices. They are. I remember getting Daylight Dies when it came out, and I was like, that fucking, like the title track when it hits, and it's just like, oh, Daylight, and that riff is just like, I was like, oh my god.
Just out of curiosity, Dan, what was the one you weren't gifted, and what was the one that you bought?
Yeah, you're like, I want that, and you went out and bought it.
Well, it's interesting because like I know the first album that I bought was definitely.
There's no shame.
There's no shame here. There's no shame here, man.
I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was Emotionless in White One after Creatures.
Oh, nice.
I had a partner back in early high school who got me into, what was it, All Time Low, and she had an iPod that she gifted me let me borrow, I should say, that had a whole bunch of other stuff on it, and I really clung to the Motionless in White stuff, and I was like, okay, take my money. I bought I can't remember what it is. Let me see if I can remember what it is, but it was.
That's pretty good though. Like I like those. Those are some good first albums. They really are. Like in terms of stuff that's gonna inspire you, I really like that.
And it makes sense when you listen to your music.
Reincarnate, I think the album was.
B Maya in the chat. That was my first, maybe second of theirs too. I'm not sure which album they're talking about.
Which album you're talking about?
Yeah, let us know which album you're talking about, B. But those are all really, really solid choices for first albums. Like, you know, my nephews.
Your
are
one makes
to get
so
into
much
heavy
sense,
music.
Dimitri. Your one, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. My nephews are starting to get into heavy music now, and instead of like giving them albums or whatever, my sister's like, "Hey, can you make a playlist that I can, put on for them?" And they're still like, it's like 7 or 8 years old or whatever, so it's like has to be no swearing, she wants it to be clean singing because he tries to do the rough vocals and makes himself hoarse trying to do it because he doesn't know how to do it. And so I'm out there trying to find all these bands. Subject matter has to be age appropriate or so advanced that they won't understand it. And I'm trying to put this playlist together, and I'm trying to include like diversity as well. I'm trying to include like not just guys, on there. I'm trying to include playlists and not just stuff in English. I'm trying to show them that from this age already, I'm trying to show them that it's such a diverse genre field, and there's so many different subgenres of metal that they can do, and so many different ways they can do it. And that's just not even touching on the stuff that's got a lot of screaming vocals on. Oh, yeah. B in the chat. Daylight Dies. Yep.
Can I just say though, that is the scariest thought in the world. A 7-year-old learning how to do metal vocals, and then turning like their balls.
Well, see, I'm hoping, right?
That's scary.
I'm hoping when I see him at Christmas, I can be like, look, if you promise me that you won't try and do the screaming vocals until you're old enough to learn how to do them properly, I might be able to convince my sister to let me put some other songs on the playlist.
You know what you should do?
Then I can really open their mind. Because what I did, I actually sent my sister, when my nephews were born, albums that were like nursery rhyme or lullaby versions of rock music and metal music. So there was like a bunch of Nirvana songs, a bunch of Green, like a bunch of metal and rock songs.
It's what all my kids listen
lullaby
to.
form, and they were like, it was like xylophone, glockenspiel stuff, no lyrics, just the riffs and the melody kind of vibes.
It's called
Rockabye
Baby. That's what it's called.
And my logic was, if I can get them at that age and implant those melodies deep in the seed in the back of their fucking brains, when they're getting older and they hear the real version of the song, it'll trigger a connection that's already in the back of their brain somewhere. and I think it worked. So
It
that's
it does. I did it with both my kids, and both my kids, every time we hop in the car,
Ah.
now it's Dad, rock and roll music. And if I, it's
there you
at
go.
the stage now where if I don't put on something heavy enough, they're like, no.
Isn't it great brainwashing children into liking what you like?
It's perfect.
Getting back to the questions here. What was the first live concert that you attended? Not counting like the Wiggles
Yeah,
or
none
whatever,
of that
if you
shit.
got Dragon American, none of that shit. But like the first concert, you were like, I want to,
You
I
either
want to go
snuck
to
out
that.
the
and you
house
remember-
or you held your breath till you went blue and you made your mum and dad buy the tickets.
Daniel, do you want to go first on this one?
No, you take it. I'm taking the last two, mate. It's yours.
So my first gig was a birthday gift from my deputy principal. Yeah, when I was in school. So yeah, this is a very interesting story. I was big on pub rock and old Aussie rock, and I was surprised in 2014. I was surprised with a ticket to go see AC/DC for the Rock or Bust World Tour, which was held at ANZ Stadium. And I was lucky to go to that concert because it was one of the last few gigs AC/DC did with the original vocalist, Brian Johnson, before they had Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses to sing for them for the rest of that tour because he lost his hearing on both sides
Yeah.
during that tour.
I wasn't at that one. I saw him on the Black Ice tour prior to that, but I think that was also at ANZ Stadium. That one was very impressive.
That's
Yeah.
a fucking hell of a first show.
That's a good first show.
I was front row for that show, but what was even more funnier is when I was going to Olympic Park to go and see it, on my way up there, I was walking past the 7-Eleven, and I see two fucking limos pull up outside of this 7-Eleven with AC/DC flags on it, and I'm like, no way that's them. No way they just parked across the road from me right now. I don't know if it was them. I didn't see them, but I did. Yeah, several police cars in that convoy as well. So
Yeah, I reckon that
probably was them.
That probably was it. That's a pretty safe bet.
No, but yeah, that happened. So
Very nice.
I'll never forget it.
For me, I've got two, and I've got a reason there's two. The first paid concert that I got my parents to convince me to go to is Soundwave 2013, I think it was. Bring Me the Horizon Sidewave at Highway Bar, formerly Highway Bar, Max Watts at Moore Park. It's now currently known as Liberty Hall. But the first actual show that I ever went to was a free, like a free council youth event that they used to have in Bondi called Bondi Blitz, and I love it. I loved it, and I always think back at it because I met like a band that I looked up to, which was Sienna Skies, and I've had the pleasure of playing with them over.
Fucking Sienna Skies, man.
Yeah. Legends, man. I love those guys, and I'm keen to see them come back and release whatever they're sitting on because it's been too freaking long.
I
man.
went to TAFE with a guy who did vocals for him for a while.
Who was that?
Not Tom.
No, Russell. I don't know if he was in the band when they were like getting bigger. I think he was still when they were very, very much like at the lower end of things. But yeah.
Why do I feel like a guy named Sean Mayer might have had something to do with that back in the day?
I feel like that name was floating around at the time.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it was definitely
That's
that.
awesome, though.
Think
That's
about
really
it.
cool. That's
But
really,
like
really cool.
the reason I mentioned it is because it was a free public event, and I was like 13 at the time.
That shit needs to come back.
Yeah.
I agree.
That shit needs to come back.
They used to have Bondi Blitz, and then I think it was Shorefest, which was like North Shore, Chatswood area in Sydney, and it was like they were both huge.
Unfortunately, until punters know how to conduct themselves, that's just never coming back.
Look, there's
getting better.
there's a group of people up this way. It's a group of people from various bands and stuff called the Schema Collective, and they work with Brisbane Council to put on free gigs at skate parks. So they'll set up at a skate park. They'll put like a couple of 3x3 marquees together and set up everything under that, and they'll have a bunch of skaters, like they'll try and get some pro skaters to come down and do stuff, and they'll have someone emceeing the event, and they'll have like breaks in the bands for skaters to do some demonstrations, and then they'll have a couple more bands, and they try and, you know, there's sometimes some stalls for some activity stuff, you know, and the whole idea is that if you can get kids to come down and come to something like this, they're not off getting into trouble. And, you know, they're really, really great community events. If you're watching this and you're around Brisbane, get onto the Schema Collective, because they do a lot of really, really cool work like that. And I think their next one's coming up this weekend, actually, at Deception Bay skate park. So I'm gonna try and make it out to that one if I can. But yeah, they do awesome stuff, and there's, you know, so many bands involved with it that are kind of on the rotating roster of it, and it's ever growing. There's so many more bands wanting to get into it, and, you know, it kids come along and they're inspired on it. Like Skunkbone played one, and we were talking to shout out to Jesse from Regular Gonzalez and Adriatic. We were talking, he's one of the guys behind it. We talked to him afterwards. He's like, yeah, like those kids over there, that group of kids over there was saying they want to start a band after watching the bands play here today. And I'm like, that's great. That's great. Like, that shit's fucking bang on. And it's all about the right attitude and a positive environment, and those kind of council-backed shows, even if they're not run directly by the council, but with the backing of and support of the local council. So they go in like local council fucking notifications that go out and stuff, and they put it up on notice boards and whatever, is like, that's how the scene gets popular
Bigger.
and builds again. And you got to inspire that next generation. So stuff like that definitely needs to come back. What's an instrument you've always wanted to learn but haven't yet?
All right, you go, Daniel.
I've picked up I've had the pleasure of holding on to a few of friends' ones over the years, but it's banjo. I've always wanted to learn how to play the banjo, man.
Solid.
It's just fun. It's such a fun instrument to me, like watching it. So I wanted to learn how to...
It's an upside down guitar. Like Hendrix would have been in his fucking element.
Do it and then put it on the album.
Yes.
Banjo
solo. Banjo breakdown.
Or just an intro or outro to a song, or an intermission or something.
I want a banjo breakdown. I want you to find an electric banjo, plug it in, distort the shit out of it, banjo breakdown.
Drop F.
Drop F banjo breakdown.
Yeah.
Oh, I can. Oh man, I'm putting on my bloody overalls. I'm going full redneck. I'm having sex with my sister.
This is get it. Yeah, this is the heaviest hoedown ever. Like, you know.
Only if I get to play the jug.
Hoedown.
Can I play a jug in the breakdown?
Yeah, sorted. Cool. Jug feature.
I'm not sure if you guys listen to much Dragon Force anymore, but it's like Sam Topman, their second guitarist, he just between songs he'll always bring up a banjo and actually play it, and they just do these random metal parodies together live on stage, and it's just awesome to watch. Like, I'm not really much of a Dragon Force guy these days, but I just love watching them fiddle around like between songs and really seeing how talented they are as instrumentalists as a whole. And
that's a band of people that you can tell are still music fans before they are a band, before being performers. They
Have you seen
fans at their core?
Have you seen what's the Asian guitarist name? I can never remember.
Herman
Lee. Have you seen his Twitch?
Yeah.
Dude,
he does heaps of stuff on there.
Dude,
yeah.
it is legit. He gets so many people on there, and the guy, his guitar collection.
But bro, like stuff like Matt Heafy, I don't know if he still does it. He was doing live stream stuff for a while, and he was like, "All right, I'm gonna learn how to play this. I've never played this song before. I'm gonna learn how to play this song in this couple of hours on my live stream." And he learns how to play the song, or he'll like be like, "All right, I'm gonna write a song on this live stream with you guys," and they write a song together. Again, that's someone that I definitely get the sense is a music fan at the very core of everything, and that is, yeah, like I think that's.
There's nothing better than watching Herman Lee when someone sends him an obscure track and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to learn how to play this."
Yeah. So Dimitri,
his TikTok trends are pretty funny too.
What would be your instrument to learn that you haven't learned yet, but you want to?
I had a small number or a certain selection of instruments that I really wanted to throw in and try, but I did get to. Oh wait, still yet to try, or like that I have tried before?
That you
No,
want
no,
to
that you
learn
wanna
how to play,
learn.
like an instrument that you want to learn. Maybe
It's
you've
solid.
tried
Learn.
it. Maybe you've tried it, but you haven't. You really want
You
to
wanna
learn how
master
to
it.
play it.
I'd say this is a very strange one, but a harp.
Ooh, I don't think we've had that one
So-
yet. I think that's a
I don't think we
first.
have had it yet.
It's a short story. It's a short story. So I used to work. My first work experience job was actually a music store. I was in my last year of high school. It was my first like job experience ever, and upstairs in the building was a small attic full of old rundown instruments that the guy had been collecting for years on end. And at the very end of the room was this huge harp. They're like a stationary ones, and the person just sits down and play them. This thing was terribly out of tune, but it's like just sitting down at it and hearing just how melancholic it sounds, just how not hollow, but how really nicely those strings resonate, just made me think, you know what, this shit's better than guitar.
Harp intro,
Like just for a
banjo
moment,
breakdown.
just for a moment.
Good ideas.
but-
Yeah.
Release.
Well, you
It's
go,
a
you know,
really cool instrument.
I mean, you can go really low on a harp too. So you know,
Have you
just
act-
get like
Yeah.
that stuff.
I've actually seen a lady on YouTube who
Yeah.
who mucks around with the harp, and she like hooks up all different stuff to it. Like I think she has an
Yeah.
electric standing one, and she hooks up distortion pedals and shit like that. So it's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I do remember
I
seeing something.
think I've seen the videos that you're talking about. All right, now given obviously you guys have just done Good Things, so that's kind of like opening technically for all the bands on Good Things if you really want to get into it. But if you guys could pick one big band or artist, now there's basically no rules on this, right? This is any band, living or dead, active or not, whatever period in their career that you could pick. Like if you could just bend space and time so that SYNGE could open for any band you wanted, who would it be?
It's a hard one.
I told you they get a bit trickier.
Ah, yeah.
I've, already,
Geez.
I've
If
chosen
you've got
one,
one,
but I
man,
want to
go
do it
for it.
last.
Okay.
Oh
Alright.
god. Mate,
I'll-
if you
I'll drop
got one,
mine.
just go for it.
Bring me the horizon.
Ooh, okay, solid. So
Bring the
I could,
horizon.
you know what? I could see that.
Yep, absolutely.
I
can
could
see that.
definitely see that. I could definitely see. I hope that happens.
I do too.
I'm gonna
So
put that
do I,
energy.
man.
I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna put that energy into the world. Let's hope that
No,
happens.
no,
I'm
no,
gonna
no.
fuck-
We don't hope it happens. It's
It
gonna
will-
happen.
Yeah, it will happen. I'm
It
throwing
will
that
happen.
energy. Throwing that energy into the internet.
Ollie Sykes is in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, dude, if Ollie Sykes was in the fucking chat, Jesus.
On the off chance, if you're in the chat, Ollie, like hit us up. We'll get you on,
Let
you
us
know,
know, bro.
Yeah,
and put these guys on the fucking show.
gladly. Whatever scheduling I have, I'm sure me and Raf can put it
Yeah,
all aside to
we'll
have
work
you
it
on.
out.
We'll work it out.
And if Ollie's not in the chat, but someone can get him this, go for it.
Do it.
For me, I would also choose Bring Me because I've seen them like 6 times or however many times they've come over and they've always been good. But I think if I personally had to think off the top of my head, it would be either I Prevail or Bad Omens. I know that they're like we saw I Prevail at Not Fest, Good Things, and then Bad Omens at Not Fest, and both times both of those bands, man.
Let me tell you, I knew a couple of I Prevail songs prior to Good Things. I didn't even know they had 2 vocalists, so there you go. But that fucking show that they put on was unreal.
Agreed.
Like, fucking just the stage presence that those guys bring and the energy that they bring to a show is like, I can see why they are as popular as they are. It's not just the music, they are a band that if you're a fan of the music, great, but I think you really need to go and see them live to get everything out of it.
That's with a lot of metal bands, though, man. Like I find if they grab you on the seat, if they grab you on their albums and the listening part, you really got to nail the live show. You can't be like an awesome recording band with a shit live show anymore.
Yeah.
Bring me's like that because because they obviously have all their albums that are completely different in sound, but even if you're not a fan of the new stuff they've been doing, their shows rip every time.
Oh yeah, I just want to know
Well,
when Ollie turned into a 1980s cocaine dealer. Like
See, that's the thing. The live energy is exactly why I think I'm so excited to see a band like Skindred on the Knotfest lineup, because I think especially in Skindred is going to really get a lot out of the Knotfest thing being just like one double stage, because everyone's going to be in one place, and Skindred is the kind of band that even if you'd never heard their material, by the end of their set you're going to be into it. Like, they are going to grab everyone by the end of that set. So it's like, and that's what's most important. Like, so many bands these days don't necessarily translate the energy of their live shows into energy on recordings, which is another problem that I think
That's what I love.
That's a different issue.
That's why I like when I caught you guys. Like, I'd heard Ghost Complex before I saw them. When I saw you guys before I went on the deep dive, and your live show was just so big. And that's why I hit you up straight away. I was like, got to get you on. It was just, yeah. Whatever you were doing there, I knew it was going to sound good.
Yeah.
We like that larger than life feel. We're really big on making it sound huge.
No,
so
it's good.
whatever we can do to make
that's why people go to shows. They don't go to shows to hear the album. They go to shows to see the performance, and that is essential. Who is, I want to break out your Spotify's now. Who is a band or artist that you're listening to at the moment that you think is seriously underrated and deserves more attention?
Your wrap ups are there, so it should be nice and quick.
Yeah. Spotify rap.
This can be local, this can be international.
Yeah, anyone.
Version isn't the best. Where is it?
I say Ghost Complex and Weightless.
I just filled in for Weightless at a show, and that new EP that I think it's coming out tomorrow. I think there's going to be they did a waterfall release, so I don't know how many tracks are left, but that is so fun to play.
Yeah.
Those guys are insane.
Those guys are fucking legit. The only thing that pisses me off, and Spotify changing the rules again, because I had a little look-ski, because Taylor Swift pissed off the record labels and shit like that with what she did, so now they're trying to circumnavigate that part of it. So so it's only one release for the same song for the copyright purposes or some junk, but they're changing the rules now to do the whole if you haven't got 1,000, you have to have more than 1,000 active streams in a year in order to start getting paid.
Yeah.
Which is fucking dog shit.
Weightless isn't going to have that problem. Those guys are crushing their streams.
Well, this is what I wanted to bring up. Weightless have accumulated nearly 500,000 streams across their fucking platform.
Yeah.
My fucking God, man. Like, they are...
I want to know the secret. I'm going to ask them.
Man.
I mean, there isn't really a secret. They're just fantastic, and
no, they are. They're great people. They're great guys. They just whatever they're doing, they're doing it well. I just wish it translated into EP sales. I'd much rather see like 100,000 EP sales rather than a.
Hey,
CJ, what's up, man?
Thank you for jumping in the chat. Much love, my man.
You hosted last time these guys were on, CJ.
Yes.
Okay, so you've had a bit of time.
All right, who have you got? Who have you got for us?
I chewed that up for you.
Can I hear the question one last time? Because I just want to make sure that my answer is in line.
Who is an artist or band that you're listening to right now that you believe is underrated and deserves more attention?
I've got an Australian one for my personal one, and then an American one.
Okay, that's all good. You can give us a couple if you want.
Well, my Australian one is at the moment Loon. I've been vibing their new little EP that they've dropped.
You say Luna?
Loon, sorry, Lun.
Lune. Loon.
Pretty sure they're Victorian, but don't quote me on that. I feel
that's like Progeny, Left Behind.
They're the ones.
Sun, that's the one, yeah.
Yep, that EP's been a very frequently played one of mine recently.
Nice.
But if we're talking international, the boys in King 810 have been doing the Never Say Die tour, and they seem to be hyping, doing a lot of big things over there. They recently released, I think, another 6-track EP earlier this year, and I personally quite enjoyed it. So they're my two if you're asking.
Couple of good picks there.
Nice. Dimitri?
So I've got an Australian one for you, and we know these boys personally, and honestly, every show we've seen them play, they've been grinding. I've been digging Mirkwood
Mirkwood.
a lot. Yeah, James has played. How many shows have you done with them, James?
I've been filling in for them recently and been playing drums, but they have been doing a lot before I was there, and they're dope. It's been like 5 shows I play with them.
All right.
I covered one of their. I literally took some time aside to sit down and learn one of their riffs. Violent Sleep, just an absolute fat riff to play. Yeah, I love really chunky songs and groovy bops to play. So.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
There you go. There you go. So that's Loon, King A10, and Mirkwood for you to go and check out. So
Nice.
hop on that one. What is something that people might be surprised to learn about you? Yeah.
How much do we? How much of the tea?
All right, it gets-
how much of the tea
Gets
do
a
we
little.
get?
It gets a little bit easier after this. Don't worry.
I mean, recently I picked up fishing. I guess that's probably the.
Hey! Fishing is a great way of doing something while doing nothing. It is a great way to decompress. I love fishing.
Yeah, mate. I've been trying to think of places I can get out to when work finishes up and just go take a bit of a break, go for a fish, sink some lines, and just disconnect for a while. So that's probably the
Meditative. I like it.
Yeah.
Love it. Go on the beach. I'm telling you, you get the waves. Just sit there, cast the line out, sit it in.
Mind you,
decompress.
we did a riding retreat earlier this year, and it was in Dora Creek, and it was like right on the water, so like a little jetty. And Dan brought the fishing rod out for the first time that we'd seen together, and he was there every day casting the line out.
So way, man. It's
Even
a
better, we
great-
had
Had a little crack at it.
Yeah, dude.
we had these 2 kayaks we took up the river.
I won't go on kayaks. I have to. My feet need to be planted. I'll go on a boat. I don't have a boat. As long as someone else's boat.
Unless you don't want to meet someone with one.
Yeah, that's it.
Head on.
You see, that's the thing. You don't ever want to buy a boat. You just want a friend with a boat.
Yeah.
Not maintenance, in my opinion.
I think I figured out an answer for you.
Go.
Yeah.
So I mentioned this one in a public post I did on Facebook recently about Good Things, but my first time going to Good Things was playing it recently.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't know if that's a very interesting fact, but yeah, it's something
There
I
you
told
go.
a few people, and
I
they're just
mean-
like,
To be fair, like it's like, oh, have you ever been to Good Things before? Yeah. Oh, I went there once. It'd be like, oh, yeah. Who'd you go see? Nah, I played.
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah.
There you go.
Mind you, Jimmy, I think it was Knotfest was the only other festival you've been to. Really
Yeah. So my first time going to an actual outdoor festival in general was Knotfest, which was earlier this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the one earlier this year.
Wow.
Yeah, far out.
Yeah. You know what's fucked? I was planning my US trip. I saw them tease Knotfest Australia, and I'm like, that's going to be when I'm away. Then the dates come out, smack bang in the middle of the 7 weeks I was away. And I'm like, look, I was doing cool shit, so fair enough. Like, I can't, I'm not going to complain
You went
too
to
much that I missed it.
WrestleMania.
But I mean, yeah. Like, okay. And fucking,
Okay.
and Astronomicon, and got to see all this. Like, and it was cool. I'm not ragging that. Like, I got to do some cool shit. But I was like, missed the first Knotfest in Australia. Like, that's kind of iconic, But, yeah. All right, here we go. I've changed up this next question, and it kind of covers both of you all at once. And I haven't even told Kyle that I've changed it. So this is one I just thought about today. What's the last message in the band group chat?
Oh! Zing.
I think I asked for the lead.
Zing.
Yeah, we want that. Anyone can give us that one. Anyone can give us that one.
I tagged Dimitri and Daniel and said, "Join the General Voice channel. I'm in it with Beer Buddy."
Ah, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
If you want something a little zestier, there was our photographer did send us a little something from the Good Things festival that he spliced together. So I'm yet to personally view it, but I know that that's also the message before.
Very,
So
very
keep
nice.
your eyes on the
Very
socials, and you might see it soon.
So,
Alright.
watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space. Go and follow him on socials. Go and follow Singe on all the socials to see it. All right, last one for the quick question quarter here. It's a bit of a sappy one, but well, we like to close out on a positive vibe. If you could give your younger self one piece of music-related advice, what would it be? And James, I think this is different from when you were on here last as well. So
if you want to jump in.
if you want to jump in on this one too, you absolutely can.
Fair. Well, I mean, I actually have a bit of advice anyway that I always keep in my head, especially with this Good Things thing going on. I mentioned earlier, there's been a few periods where I've just been kind of demotivated when things aren't kind of going the band's way, and it's become clearer and clearer as time has gone on that you just need to keep pushing and keep the effort up. I mean, if my high school self had known that I'd be playing Good Things, I wouldn't have believed it at all. There's no chance. So, but the fact that it's happened means that it's obviously possible for a band that's just starting out to get to the same space. So you just need to keep going, and if your heart's in the right place and you want to do the band for being in a band, being with your mates, writing music, playing shows, all the cool stuff, the good things will happen. You just need to keep pushing and don't let go, don't stop. No matter how hard it gets, keep going.
Love that shit. Love that
I
shit.
think my one kind of extends on that a little bit. Like, I wish I could.
I third that as well.
Yeah. I feel like for me, it's an extension of that, which is just learn to take a moment to breathe. Like Dimitri lives with me, FYI to everyone. But the amount of times I'll be like practicing something and I'll just yell, like he could be in his room and I'll be like yelling at myself because I can't learn something or can't do something. Like, and I sit there and I remind myself to just breathe, take a moment to just reassess, essentially.
That's the perfect time to throw a line.
Yeah, exactly.
Go for a fish.
But especially with Good Things as well, like when we walked up to the stage and we saw like the magnitude of it from the other side of this perspective, I guess, on stage, like to be faced with that and not have that prior experience, it's kind of like it is a big thing. So you needed to learn to just take a moment, reassess, like, okay, shit, I'm here now. I'm going to make the most of it, I'm going to take a moment to just breathe before I go ahead and commit to something, because I'm either going to get frustrated in the process or I'm going to just want to give up at the end of the day, or it's just not going to end up the way I want it to. So just to remember to breathe.
Very, 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 very fair. Y'all keep going. I'll be back in a second.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Dimitri?
Yeah. So honestly, my answer sort of extends based off both what James and Daniel have also said regarding just generally to just have patience, even in troubling or long-term waits for great opportunities, or otherwise just really stressful periods that just keep weighing on you when you don't have a solution or any other alternative to really distract yourself at the time being, especially with me in writing. So we did our debut. I felt like it was not really a fluke, but I felt like writing such detailed material as our debut was luck, and I couldn't possibly even think how I was going to approach the next release with that same ease either. But to an extent, we've gotten so much done to a point where I'm confident with that again. I wish I could just tell myself to just be patient, let it sink into you, and eventually you'll be able to paint it on a canvas. In your own time.
Well, this is what I keep on saying to people. It's like you got to let your music simmer. It's got to gel with you. The day that you write it, the day that you listen to it, the next day that you listen to it. It all changes. Your mindset's different. It's all very. Fuck. I don't know. It's a scattered thing, because it's such a your mood may depend on the way that you write. Then the next day you listen to it and your mindset's a bit different, so you don't think of that it's that good. And it all, but if you're coming up with real intricate stuff and you're proud of it straight away, and the best thing to do, I find, in my opinion, in editing writing process, if you're happy with it, sort of leave it. Don't try and overdo it. And it's
just
a balancing act, especially now that you guys can do. Just out of curiosity, did you guys record this all outside, or did you guys do this all internal? Who did you record? Who do you guys do most of your recording with?
Most of it's all with Keywork Studios. Mark Williamson runs that. Who did we mix with again? It was Chris Crummett.
We mixed with Mark, and we got mastered by Chris Crummett, and we do our drums with Chris Moncato.
Okay.
So it's a bit of lots of people involved, but that's what we like. We like having a big team.
No, well, look, bigger teams, more ideas, and many hands make light work.
Exactly.
That's good.
It's a dream team.
Hey, it's working.
Finding a team that works with you for your process is so important, and finding people that you trust to give you honest feedback in a way that I'm not saying they need to like avoid bruising your ego, but if they can do it without bruising your ego, it's very important.
Producers are the best, aren't they?
Chris Blancato is the G on that. He because he's a drummer as well, right? So when I'm recording drums, and he'll be very honest. He'll be like, no, that was shit, do it again. And I like that. It helps cut through the bullshit, helps us get things done, and there's it's not about feelings. We want to get the best product and the best result. He wants us to do the best we can. It's nothing like, him trying to poke fun at our abilities.
Exactly. I warn people. I warn people when they come into the studio and I'm working with them. I'm like, guys, you better be prepared, because you may not like me very much. Like, you might be a bit mad at me by the end of today, but it's all for a good cause. It's all for a good reason, right? Like, you're not gonna like me when I tell we might get along now, but you're not gonna like me when I'm telling you to do a 15th take of the thing, because I know you can do a better take. And then obviously the producer needs to know when to go. All right, look, let's take a breather. Let's have a break maybe and come back in 15 minutes and try and attack it again. Get your head straight. But there's so much that goes into that. But I always make a point of saying I'll tell you what I think. At the end of the day, you're the band, and if I tell you what I think and I think it can be better, or I think something should be changed, and you come back and go, no, this is how we want it. Cool. That's I've done my job by telling you what I think, because that's why you've hired me. But to be fair, I tell anyone, I'm like, being in a band with me is very different from being my friend. The version of me that you get can be very frustrating at times, and I understand that.
It boils down to business, though, and it's not business in the sense of making money. It's business in the sense of getting shit done. And this is where it really boils down to. And when Raph, you're a producer, you see a band that plays, the caliber of what they can do. And when they walk into the studio and they can do better, it's just like anything. You sort of got to break them down to build them back up. And it's like, you can do better. Come on. Because at the end of the day, when you record them, it's not just a reflection on their music, it's a reflection on your recording as well. So it's all that they need to get the best out of you in order for you to get the best out of them.
Yeah. And for that time, quite often the producer can become an additional member of the band, because it's what it is. And
you want someone that's going to make you work.
You want someone that's going to hear the songs and that's going to spark. It's going to spark a thing, and they're going to be like, hey, what if we... just bear with me. What if we did this? You know,
And
you
it's that enthusiasm from a
And
producer.
and the band trusting the producer, inspiring that trust in the band to try the suggestions before they naysay them. Just be like, hey, I know this sounds funny, but let's try it. Like this interpersonal relationship and this it's like it's this weird blend of like a professional relationship and a personal relationship and a creative relationship that is very difficult to get right. But when you do get it right, you can all make magic together, and that's what I love.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next segment, Kyle, if you're ready to hit the thing.
I am. I'm always ready.
All right, let's go, baby. Hit it.
Come on, if you want to fight. Oh, come on then.
Get in the
Are
bin.
you enjoying the weather there, mate? What? Are you enjoying the weather there? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I love that cutaway.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've not seen us before, this segment used to have a different name, but we changed it for YouTube to try and tidy things up a little bit. But we now call it Get in the Bin. And the whole point of this segment is we say to our guests, if you could snap your fingers and you had God powers and could snap your fingers and eliminate stuff from the music business, what would the first three things that you eliminate be, and why? Gentlemen, I don't know who wants to go first. If you want to trade off and go back and forth, if you want to give us your three each and then go to the other one. Who's up first?
I think I can definitely vouch. I know James might have definitely spoke about it last time, but Frankie sound guys and lighting guys. Like we did a tour back last year in September it was. September, and at one of the dates we came across a rather grumpy sound, lighting technician who wasn't allowing our photographer to do his job. Even though he hadn't accessed all areas past, he wasn't allowed to access certain areas surrounding the stage, which would have enabled him to do his job essentially. So I guess the sentiment that you are king of that, I guess. No, I rephrase that. If grumpy sound guys and lighting guys, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, we're all here to have
I feel that.
I completely respect and understand that sound guys and lighting guys have a lot of setup work to do. But at the end of the day, you're part of the experience, so you need to be able to...
It's no excuse to treat anyone like an asshole for no reason. Like, I can understand. Look, I mean, we played Wallapalooza Fest up here a little while ago, and some punter was like, "Oh, I can't hear the bass," and so we went over to our stage rack and started like looking like he was going to muck around with the cables, and we were like, "Back the fuck off."
Yeah.
So in that instance, yeah, like you get it, but especially if it's like a photographer trying to do their shit, man, like come on.
Just let him go. Let him
The
go.
lighting guy grabbed the mic off our frontman Ethan to show him like proper technique. Mind you, it sounded fine. No one had a problem with it, but he's like, "Give me this middle of a song." Grab the mic.
Oh shit!
The altercation between the photographer and Ethan with this guy was like 30 seconds. I've got it all on video.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
sorry,
a new
but
level.
you come and if I'm mid that's you eating that microphone, you're finishing off my set with that thing down your fucking throat. You don't come. That's my stage. That's my mic. You don't touch.
Like if he has a problem with it, tell us after or before, but not during the show. Like
Yeah.
If you have in-ears, just tell me in my fucking in-ears.
yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Well, I mean, I definitely know that's a collective in the bin sentiment.
I'm with his.
But
I've encountered some really shitty personality sound people in my time. I've never seen that.
Yeah. That's fucking up. Oh, wow.
I mean, he was banned from the venue, and there was a few other things dealt with. But we've moved on, we've grown, we've learned.
That sounds like
we
someone
definitely
was
don't do that shit anymore. So we're
a few bananas short of a bunch on that one.
Yeah.
All right. Who's next?
Give me take
I'll give it a shot. So one thing I'd like to see removed. Crowd killers. Just
think I
crowd
said
killers in the
before.
audience. Just
Yep.
what was that?
I said the same thing last time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, fair.
Moshing is one thing, but yeah, crowd killing is like, come on, man.
I mean,
Look, man,
I still remember.
No, go, Dimitri.
Oh no, sorry, bro. So
No,
I
no,
still
no.
remember our first time at the Burdekin. We actually went to go see a show, and it was Justice for the Damned shooting a music video or just a live video, and supposedly they played the same track that they used for the video like 3 times to try and capture more footage for it. Throughout the set, and literally the first second the song starts or their set starts, this pit opens up in the middle, and I'm out of ring of it. I get thrown straight in. This guy 2 times my size, karate kicking his feet all around the air, and I cop one straight to the sternum. And there I am on all fours, crawling out, trying to catch my breath. Don't get me wrong. Like, he was a really nice guy. Like, he stood over me just trying to make sure I was okay. And, caught up with me, offered me a drink as well, just to cheer up the rest of the day for me as well. He was a nice guy, but it's like,
Why
to an extent. Exactly. It's like, I get it. It's a hardcore scene. It's a hardcore show, so it's like, they'll go off, they'll go nuts. So they're in the right to, but it's like, just be safe with everyone,
I think it's a matter of read the room. You know what I mean? Like, read the room. If you've got, like, if there's a big space and lots of people seem to be ready to go for it, sure, go for it. But just make sure that the people that are around are wanting to go for it. Like, don't just make sure that the people that aren't wanting to be in that are out of that before you start, is all I'm saying. Like, open it up, do like a walk around, kind of like indicate to people to move back if you're going to do stuff like that. There's a time and place, sure, but like, I mean, you got fucking kicked in the chest.
To be fair, though, I just pick it through my shows. I don't go on mosh pits in hardcore shows. No go. Stand at the back, watch shows. Metalcore shows, I'm trying to get near the front. If it's at my back doesn't really, it doesn't hurt that much.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was just outside the pit.
Yeah, hardcore new metal shows, I'm in the middle. Like, I just really try, and I guess that's how I pick my genres through my mosh pits. It's just, but I remember the day. It was a really weird thing because I was in mosh pits forever, and I remember being in a Hatebreed set, and I saw them once, and it was cool. And then I saw them the next time, and that's when I first encountered the crowd killing shit. And that's when the people were like, you'd get one person kneeling down, and you just get people running and like launching off the back and trying to crowd surf. And I'm just like, I want no part of this anymore.
Well, I mean, like, Hatebreed's like old school hardcore.
Yeah, but that's when I encountered, like, that was my
They're
first
old school
encounter.
hardcore, and they was like, they never used to have any of that at their shows. They'd
No,
have
but I
mosh.
remember when it came in at their shows, like,
Yeah, you'd have moshing, but then once it became a trend, once crowd killing became a trend with new hardcore or post hardcore or whatever you want to call it, it started to go like, they were one of those bands that kind of was a bit of a crossover, and they started to get that.
To be fair though, I will stand at the back of the wash pit and watch the shit out of it. I won't even watch the show. I'll just watch people get mowed over.
I'm never going in a wall of death ever.
No.
But I love watching one.
Oh yeah, dude! It's like it'd be like watching a train wreck. It's all watching in the clips. You shouldn't look at it, but you're going to.
Literally, I always tell myself.
Yeah. Be in the chat. Grumpy sound guys are the worst. They absolutely are.
They are.
They really, really are. They really are. All right, who's
As you mentioned about watching.
Yeah.
As you mentioned about watching a wall of death, I always love getting to watch all this chaos erupt around you ever so vicariously. Like, as long as it's not you involved in the crowd killing, you copying it from someone, it's an enjoyable experience to watch. And it's like half the time that's why we prefer being on stage, because then we can just watch it all unfold in front of us. But in the end, we still don't wish our audience any harm or disaster that could befall
Oh,
them.
look, man, at the end of the day, if you don't know what you're getting into, just stand at the fucking back. We all know what we're fucking...
Right.
Man, if you want room in a mosh pit, you came to the wrong place, my homie.
But this is where there's a trend, right? Like someone like I Prevail has a song go viral on TikTok, right? And then all these people that don't know anything about heavy metal or the culture, they'll like come to the show because they want to see the band play the song, and then like they'll want to get right up the front because of course they want to be right up the front. They want to be near this band that they came to see, and they have no clue what they're in for.
I don't buy that anymore.
And that's when they get hurt.
In the world with the internet, you should know exactly what you're in for. There is no reason for ignorance anymore, especially with that shit.
That's fair too. I suppose.
Yeah, everyone does research on everything. You can't turn around and say anymore, I didn't know. You know. You just didn't take the time to learn.
All right, who's got another one for us?
The internet has it all.
Who's got another one?
Sitting on it, trying to think. Hey, it's a very good question. I was like, I love every aspect of the music industry. It's like every time we play a show, it's always a good time. It's always hard to pick the hard things or like the bad things about it.
And that's it. And like, you know, we're not out here like, you know, encouraging people to hate on stuff. It's just like everyone's got little things. I think that are certain elements, pet peeves, elements of it that annoy them or that they would prefer could be different. And that's why we asked the question, because we're like, hey, like, it's nice to get people's thoughts on this.
But hey, if that's the only one that you got, is Crowd Killing and Grumpy Sound Guys, you guys are doing fucking well.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you can be happy enough with everything else, that's fine. Like, respect. Like, I love. Yeah. I'm a mad hater. I am. I'm like, I come up with like a
yeah, but we festered in the industry for too long, Raph.
I'm a hater instead of a doer these days, I think.
Yeah, with the angry man yelling at clouds that have a podcast.
Yeah, that's it.
I've just had a thought on something. It's kind of what you touched on about how in the age of the internet, you know what you're getting into. In saying that, I feel like something a lot of people especially in our industry could do is just ask more questions. Hey, what, like, especially when we rock up to shows, we're always, me in particular, because I'm in charge of our in-ear system, I'm always asking the sound guy, hey, what do you need from me to make this work? Like, what? Like, it's just, the thing that I find is always, there's not a lot of communication and talking at shows, and like, okay, as soon as I get to a show, I'm always asking those questions. So
yeah,
I guess that's just one other thing, that just make yourself as efficient as possible to kind of work in with everything.
Well, that'd make the sound guy a lot less cranky too.
Right. Exactly, but no, it's saying that it's not a bad aspect, but it's just a thing. That
I think what you've hit the nail on the head there is that a lot of people walk into venues just expecting that the sound guy's just got to know how all your shit works, and it's not the day and age of that anymore. It's not like everyone just walks in with fucking valve amps and shit like that, and you just mic up everything.
That's it. The amount of times that I've sent a stage plot and an input list to a sound guy, and then I show up to the venue and they're like, I got no clue what you're talking about.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I think that person needs a new job.
That happened plenty of times, man. You know that feeling all too well.
Yeah, big shop. It's like, yeah, we got a stage rack. We just do everything direct. That we don't have any amps. What do you mean?
I sent you all this.
Like, yeah, I sent the list to the place I was told to send the list to. Did they not give it to you? No.
They did.
Come on, bro.
You're a fucking liar, you cranky sound man. I can say this, I don't play in any bands. I have no skin in the game other than trying to get bands on, so I can piss off as many sound people as I want.
You say that.
No,
One day you'll go to get back up there and some sound guy will be like, I remember that episode.
I'll make him sound shit.
Alright, have you got one more for us, Dimitri?
Okay. So there's probably two that I was going to label, but I'm just trying to decide which one is probably more important or relevant.
You can give us both.
Give us both.
9-string guitars.
What? That's a fucking thing?
It is.
Yeah, man.
It certainly is a thing. It certainly is a thing. Anything past 8 strings can get the hell out of here.
Whoa, I
I
like
go
it.
back.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Seven.
I'm a bit of a hypocrite saying that because I do love 12-string acoustic guitars, but
That's
That's
different.
different.
That's
That's
different.
different.
That's completely different.
yeah,
That's
it
different.
is.
You're not talking
I
about
would
you're not
agree.
talking about thickening a neck to an stupidly long fucking nah.
I mean, look, here's my thought on like 9-string guitars, right? And like when you start getting into that kind of territory,
Just get a bass.
if you can use it in an interesting way, go for it. If you're just getting it to go lower, just tune, just tune down.
Yeah.
The only reason you're getting it is to go lower. Get some heavier strings and tune the fuck down.
Or buy a pitch shifter.
Buy a pitch shifter, do whatever.
Precisely.
Like,
You know what I want
do
to
that.
see?
Like that Digitech whammy fucking pedal or the drop ship, that goes fucking hard nowadays. That
Oh,
really
Demetrius
works
pulling something
well
out.
these days.
What's the
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. I literally
Absolute masterpiece.
just got myself the Digitech bass whammy, the blue one. So we're gonna be playing around with
Instead
doing
of-
some drops in our breakdowns now. But
Instead of fatter necks, why do we make longer necks?
We tried that.
well, the reach
Extended
only
range.
goes so far, man. Like
Yeah, I'm quite comfortable with the 37-inch scale on my bass.
I mean, I think the
Anything
worst one I've
longer.
ever seen. The worst one I've ever seen was I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Circle K strings. They rebranded to Kalium strings, but they did a line of basses for a little while. I don't know if they still make them or not, but they did a line of basses called I think Knuckle was the brand, and they had one called a Quake that was a 40-inch scale length neck.
I'll search
That
that
was
up.
designed.
That's
It was designed for like super low tunings, and I was just like, but apparently the way they built it, a lot of that extra length was on the body end of it, so that your reach at the fretting hand was not that much further. But yeah, they did this, and that was like $5,000 US for one of these motherfuckers. Like it was stupid. But I'm just looking at it going like, I mean, on a bass, how low can you realistically fucking go before it just becomes a mess? You know,
Yeah.
like you lose clarity in tuning, you lose clarity in the generation of the note. It
And
really
then,
starts to become a problem on bass if you're going that much lower.
Essentially, you've just named corn.
I mean, to be fair, to be fair, I really, really want to get a Warwick Vampire Dark Lord,
I'd say I've
which
seen them.
is an octave lower than standard bass.
Okay.
So you take your standard bass, tune it down an octave, and that's what you've got with a Warwick Vampire Dark Lord. And they don't make them anymore. They're rare as hen's teeth. But I'd love to fucking get one. I'd love to get my hands on one. But yeah, I get it. I get what you mean though. Like 9-string people getting extra strings just for the sake of it is fucking ridiculous.
There
It's a
was
wow
something I
factor.
stumbled upon recently. Something I stumbled upon recently is I'm not sure if you guys like watch Chapman Guitars, at all. Okay, so this YouTube channel from the UK, they always do review on gear and stuff, and they've got all of them are independent YouTubers as well, like in the UK.
Mhm.
And one of them named Rabi Masai, like he was talking about how Bring Me the Horizons guitarist uses like a Gibson Les Paul, like just the natural 25.5-inch scale, and he uses drop A sharp with an 80 on the lowest string. And I'm like, bro, if you're struggling to find the right string gauge for that tuning, why not just get a baritone so you can save yourself the trouble? Or even, yeah, as we mentioned earlier, like use pitch shifting. But then again, you know, if he's got the preference, then I guess it's right for him.
Mm.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I've got a fucking Squire Classic Vibes Bass 6, which is it's like literally a hybrid of a guitar and bass. It's a baritone guitar tuned an octave lower than a standard guitar. The low string on that's like a 92, I think. And that's getting
heavy.
silly. That's getting silly, mind you. Like I was able to put it in there and play like some of the Black Tongue stuff on that because that's how low they fucking play, right? But it really starts to create, like, when you're going that low purely for the sake of going that low, and you're not doing anything, it's literally just so you can say how low you play. That's when you start running into trouble.
You're just going for a niche shit thing then, aren't you? It's just like, oh, look, I play on a 9-string guitar. Who else does that? It gets literally. That's where you're trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
And there's no, look, in my opinion, there's no fucking need for it. Just get an 8-string, do your thing. And
Nick Gordon used an 8-string for the Doom soundtrack.
So,
Yeah, if you need anything lower than that to get you, like, you're not getting heavier than that. Sorry.
It'll be inaudible at that point. Just relax.
Well, yeah, that's you essentially your bowels will just release. You just need to listen to the album on the toilet. Like, that's the only way you're going to be able to listen to it. You just can't and that's the thing. Like, once you throw distort, just how much heavier do you think you can actually get though? And this is what we talk about so many times. There's only so many scales on a fucking guitar. There's only so many variables that you can put on there, other than going to like a 9-string. In which case, to be fair, once you hit 9-string, you just get in a bass. You just get a bass.
Well, I mean, clank metal is a genre.
What?
Or clank is a genre. Yeah, so here you got gent.
Yeah.
Clank is a bass-centric version of gent.
Oh God, my weekend's full now.
Nice.
James, you should mention Plankton.
Oh, you guys
just recently entered the chat.
SpongeBob AI music.
SpongeBob. Oh my God.
What?
You heard the songs by Boy What? They're so good. They're just like metalcore songs, but with the voices Plankton.
Actually,
it's sick.
I actually forgot to mention this last week, Raph. My brother called me up just before we done the stream, and I cannot believe I forgot to mention this last week. Speaking of AI, someone, and this guy is literally trying to get fucking sued. I do not know what is going on in this guy's brain, what synapses are firing to make him want to do this. But and you can go look this up on YouTube. It's all on YouTube. It's Frank Sinatra covers. But he covers modern songs.
Yeah, no, I've seen that. It's not like a Master of Puppets version.
Dude, the chops, when you hear a Frank Sinatra style of chop suey, man, some of the songs.
That's just Richard Cheese at that point.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, the whole Sinatra.
Like, because I know Richard Cheese had a version of Chop Suey.
Oh, okay.
It's like, wake up, grab the brush, put on a little makeup.
It's pretty much that. It's pretty much
that.
I
discuss to fade away the shaker.
It's pretty much that nailed, man. But yeah,
I feel fucking ridiculous now because like Richard Cheese has like fallen out of the fucking zeitgeist and no one knows who the fuck.
No, don't you remember, man? Richard Cheese is what they used to play at the openings for all Soundwaves.
Yeah, like y'all need to go and check out Richard Cheese's stuff because it is fucking brilliant. It's lounge music version of metal and like popular music, but there's a lot of metal and rock songs on there. If you've seen the, I think it's Simon Pegg's zombie movie that he did. They did like a Dawn of the Dead type thing. They used his version of Down with the Sickness in that movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's,
I was gonna say that's why that that SpongeBob one, it's like fully original music, but they've done the voice is the same way that they're doing all these AI covers. He'll sing it and then he'll put his vocals through the AI voice thing, which I like because it's not like it's like someone else's copyright. It's like his own song, and that's what the good part about it is. It's funny because it's original. It's not just some.
Wow, the game's changing, man.
Yeah, people doing
the game
interesting
is
stuff.
changing. I love it. Hey, at least you can. At least they've used the AI in a very creative way, where they and realistically, you could, when you actually like, now that you mention that, there's so much shit you could do with that. You could do like a whole fucking you could do whole concept albums based around certain characters.
there's a guy, I've seen a bunch of videos online where they've done like taken Queen songs and run the vocal track through AI, and it's Michael Jackson doing it.
Seen them,
And
they're
then they're taking
crackers.
Michael Jackson songs and had Freddie Mercury do the vocals through AI, and it's like some of it is really really convincing, and it's crazy to think. And it's like, I don't know what sort of extra tweaking it takes to get it there, or what AIs they're actually using to do this stuff, but it does open kind of a new world for for covers and for music and for putting these unique spins on the stuff that we already know. Yeah, I think it's great. I
It
love it.
breathes life to old songs too.
And it's crazy to think that AI is only going to be going up and up from this point on, because with all these different softwares they build for it to be able to fuse songs together and literally create something entirely original. It's literally able to separate stems from fully stereo songs,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
incorporate them to other
And-
combinations and constructions. And it's like, at this point on, now that it knows what to target, they can improve the software for it to be able to be more sophisticated.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, everyone's going, "Oh, AI is going to take my job. AI is going to take my job." No,
Yeah.
people using AI are going to take your job, and that's what it's going to come down to. It's just like everything else, you gotta industries move forward, industries change, and yes, as a creator of sorts, there is concern that okay, you train an AI to make music. Eventually, it's going to be able to make music, but how long is that going to take? I can't worry about that.
I have a little idea. I think what I want to do is, with Sleep Token being anonymous, I think I want to make when AI gets good enough to make its own music, I want to be the first to do an AI only band where you don't know the members, they're all anonymous, but they're playing the AI track live and you can swap out members just so that no one else can do it. So that we can get rid of the AI band once and for all, so no one's going to copy me. So
Well,
then,
the thing is,
start using-
music. They've determined that music and images created by AI are not copyrightable.
Yeah.
They're not subject to copyright.
Yeah.
So
So anyone can use them. So if you bring
anyone can use them. But that's the thing, right? Like in my mind, the best use for AI in music at the moment is as a writing tool to inspire you. Like you might go, all right, well, I'm not going to say, hey, write me a song, but you can go, hey, I want an AI heavy metal drum track. And then that's going to play a heavy metal drum track, and that can give you an idea for some riffs to write maybe, or you can just like jam along with it and hit on something you like, and then you're like, all right, cool, and you take that riff and then you put it, then you go to your actual drummer and you go, hey, like I've got this riff, what do you do? And and even if they come up with something similar to what the AI did, like the AI doesn't own the bit, so like they've come up with it independent of that, so it's now created by a human.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's like, if you're utilizing it to inform and as a collaborative tool with writing, I think that's where the biggest strength is going to be.
Do you ever think you're going to be able to
musicians?
sort of like, if you, say you're a band and you have a whole bunch of just random shit written, would you ever think that you would be able to collectively grab all those bits and pieces that you think would work in a song, dump it onto an AI and just go, can you just fix that for me and just make it a song?
I think it'll be possible.
I think eventually, but I mean, there's already AI mastering tools.
Yeah. No, I'm just
They're
saying,
not-
like,
they're not the
just say you had
best,
like, just say Nuclear Vision had 15 riffs. You didn't know what to do with them. They were just sitting in a bank, and you were like, they're good riffs. We do like and bits and pieces. We just don't know what to do with them. And you just went, throw them on an AI, make it a new metal song. And it'll just sit there and just break it apart. Just go, we're going to put this part here, this part here, this part here.
I don't know. I don't know how.
Because I'll tell you,
along with
one of
AI
my
stuff
mates,
is with that, but-
one of my mates got that Chat GPT, or whatever it is, and he put on there because like we all like to, we're fucking. It's been a while. Every time someone says it's been a while, the first thing you do is go to the Stain song. And he turns around and goes, write a song about one of our friends in the style of Stained. And use these topics. And by God, it wrote it. It wrote the fucking song. verse, chorus, even had a breakdown melody part because it knows what Stain does, and you're just like, that's fucking mental. Like, I mean, for lyricists, it is. Oh my god!
I think lyrics is where it's probably the strongest at the moment. You know, because it's great for coming up with ideas around that stuff. But look, this is all people smarter than us to figure out. You know, where it's really going. Like, for now, all we can really do is play our stuff. But look, we've been going on for a little while now. I think we might as well take it home there. Look, thank you very much, boys, for joining us. We really, really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us this evening, for coming back onto the podcast, or for coming onto the podcast for the first time, and spending a little time chatting about music with us. Anytime you guys have something going on, you want to talk about stuff, whatever, feel free. Let us know. We will gladly have you guys back on anytime you like. It has been a pleasure speaking with you. Before we go, is there anything you got coming up that you want to shout out for the people?
In a couple weeks, we're playing Crowbar with Wind Waker and Inertia. If you're in Sydney, come to that show. It's going to be sick.
Oh, shit.
Go to that.
What date, sir?
The 29th of December. It's a Friday night, a couple days before New Year's.
Oh, I'm off. I think I'm going.
Come do it.
There you go.
I think I'm fucking going.
There you go.
That might be a little review video. I haven't seen Inertia. I haven't seen Wind Waker. I'm a big Inertia fan. I'm looking forward to this.
It's going to be good.
Dude, it's a hot lineup. We're all very keen for it to play this one.
Yeah, I think that's an Uber day.
That's
Crowbar says.
Thanks for having us, students.
Crowbar says.
Yeah, no worries at all. We're always happy to have you guys back
Anytime,
on.
mate.
If you're releasing anything and you want like a reaction video or whatever, please feel free to reach out. We'll gladly do that. Go and follow Singe on all their socials. They're